suddenly, yes, standing in front of me, beyond the battlements in midair, was the figure of Alfred Monkton, faintly luminous, as he stands behind you now.
Was this before the news of the duel reached Wincott?
2 weeks. I didn't know the date of it then as I do now. It was March 14th. The same day as I stood on the battlement. The very moment the bullet entered his side and killed him.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Uncle Ben's Long Grain and Wild Rice and Buick Motor Division. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre.
The CBS Radio Mystery presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. And what is your pleasure this time? Let me fill your cup. 2 icy fingers of terror, add equal parts of mystery and suspense, and top with a dash of the unknown. Settle back and sip. We shall consider the wisdom of the ancient Tibetan sage, Aho Chan. One day a disciple asked, Master, is the book of each man's life written by himself or by the immortal God? And the Holy One replied, by both. The gods write only 2 pages, the first and the last. Man writes all the others himself. And if the Master has spoken truly, perhaps each of us might stop to consider what he has written now and then. Our story this time deals with the page before the last in the book of a young lady's life.
One moment, Sergeant.
Yes, what is it?
I intend to kill you.
What? Put down that pistol.
Well, certainly. After I fired it.
You can't kill a police officer in broad daylight and hope to get away with it.
I'm sure I can.
Just a minute.
Now, it won't do you any good to rush me. I can squeeze this trigger faster than you can move.
Stop.
I don't believe me.
Our mystery drama, The Weavers of Death, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Sam Dan and stars Mandel Kramer. Here is Eleanor Brody walking down the street on a quiet, sunny Saturday morning, on her way to Frank's Market to buy a packet of special British breakfast tea. Golden-haired, green-eyed, willowy Eleanor. You'd never take her for 32. She looks at least 10 years younger. But that doesn't matter anymore. She'll never see 33. Tall, attractive Eleanor Brody is about to become a statistic. And as Eleanor enters Frank's Market, Frank himself is at the register. Bald and chubby, good-natured Frank. And he's about to become a statistic, too. And, waiting to pay for her purchases, elderly Mrs. Augusta Stewart. Soon she will also be a statistic. Look through the window. A car has just pulled up. A thin, very pale young man steps out. His right hand is in his jacket pocket. He is headed for the store. For lack of a better name, let us call him a maker of statistics.
Where's it all going to end, huh, Frank? I was talking to the Mr. just last night. He said we'll have to learn how to live on air. For the second Frank, I forgot some chocolate for my little granddaughter. I'll go get it.
All right, hold it. Hold it now. Don't move. It's a cigarette. Shut up. Step over to that register there, Baldy. And you, Blondie. Blondie, stand next to her.
Don't say that, please.
Shut up.
I have children. There are
I told you to shut your mouth.
He's going to kill us. I can see it in his eyes. Martha!
got nothing on it. It was a stick-up, and it's a new breed of punk. The old-time guys, they'd at least let you live. These crumbs, you don't give them the money, they kill you. You do give them the money, they kill you. I know you got to print something, but well, you can't squeeze blood out of a stone. When I get something, I'll give you something. Well, look who's here.
Hello, Captain Gordon.
Bobby Clifton. What are you doing in this place? It's only for detectives.
You want to see my badge?
How are things in the youth section?
Artie, I want you to give me a temporary transfer back to homicide.
Why?
Those grocery store killings this morning.
Yeah? What would you want with that?
I knew the girl. I knew Eleanor Brody.
Yeah?
We went to school together. It was 10 years ago. We were, well, sort of engaged.
What does that mean, sort of?
It didn't work out.
Oh, why?
Why? I wanted to be a cop, and she couldn't see it.
I've been married 25 years, and my wife still can't.
Anyway, we decided to break up.
You mean she did?
Mm-hmm. And I never saw her again. But it was yesterday, Friday. I got a phone call. She called me just like that.
Just like that?
It was as if we'd seen each other the day before. She said, Bobby, I must talk to you. Come over to my place tomorrow morning and we'll have breakfast.
That would have been this morning.
Yeah.
So?
Well, I got mad. It was the way she said it, I guess, as if nothing had happened. Like, drop whatever you're doing and come running just because I snapped my fingers.
Oh, that's how they are, Bobby.
So I said I happened to be tied up, and she said, never mind, forget it.
I'm sorry, Bobby.
It took me nearly all this time to get over her. And I wasn't going to start. Well, I guess I never really got over her. Anyhow, this morning I set out for her apartment. There on the corner I saw the squad cars. Artie, I want to work on this case.
What's to work on, Bobby? Some nervous punk gets trigger happy. Where do you find it? You don't. And one day, some hood who faces a rap makes a deal for himself by blowing the whistle on a pal.
I want to work on the case, Artie.
I know. You figured if you'd gone there when she asked you, she'd be alive now. And so it's a whole guilty thing.
I should have gone to see her when she called me.
Bobby, it's not going to help.
I keep thinking about that phone call. She sounded scared.
You're building it up in your head.
She was scared of something. She said, I must talk to you. Not I want to or I'd like to, but I must. Now, why did she say must?
Because she figures she overlooked a good bet 10 years ago.
Artie, I failed her. You have got to let me work on the case.
Work on what? There's nothing to go on. No witnesses, nothing.
Why do you insist that it was an ordinary pickup?
What else could it be?
Suppose it was something else.
Like what?
Artie, let me work on it.
All right, but don't get in anybody's way.
The old lady, Mrs. Olga Stasiuk. I understand she's still alive.
Just about.
All right. I'll go to the hospital and see her.
Nobody can see her. She's in intensive care.
I'll see her.
I know, Sergeant, this is important for the police, but the patient can't see anyone.
Doctor, she doesn't have to see me. I just want to see her.
You mean you just want to look at her? Why?
The nurse says she keeps muttering something. Now, perhaps I can catch a word or two.
Oh, all right. As long as she isn't disturbed. Funny how things are interrelated, Sergeant.
What's that, Doctor?
These two women, the young one who died and Mrs. Stasiuk, who may not live out today. Now, the younger one, Miss Brody, her name was, she was here about a week ago.
What for?
It was midnight. She couldn't reach her own doctor, so she came to emergency.
Why?
Well, it seems she had a very severe, serious skin irritation all over her arms and back.
What caused it?
I don't know. She didn't want to save the pet, so we gave her something for superficial relief. She probably consulted her own physician the next day, and here she is, in the hospital again. This time in the morgue. Oh, you want to see Mrs. Stasiuk?
Oh,
do you make of that?
She seems to be trying to say something.
Poor woman. She can't seem to form the words.
Maybe not the English word, but the foreign language.
It doesn't sound like anything at all to me.
Her name is Stasiuk. Olga Stasiuk. Now, it could be Russian or Polish. Doctor, I've got to come back here again with a tape recorder.
You better hurry. He's getting weaker.
No? What does all that give you?
It's Russian, Artie. Russian.
What does that mean?
Look, there's an Orthodox church around the corner. It turns out to be her church. The priest says the tape is hard to understand, but he can make out some of it.
Well, what's she saying?
She's trying to describe a killer. That word, ubitsa, or something like that, that means assassin, murderer. And he could be an albino.
What?
She uses the word for pink, a word like hrosabi, in connection with eyes and hair. And there's one key word, Calvin, I think. It could either be the killer's name...
Well, are there any local punks named Calvin?
Or, more likely, it's the Russian word Kalbin or Halbin, which means albino, or a guy with real light-colored hair and eyes.
White.
That's right. Whitey Barrows.
It can't be.
Why not?
Because, as far as we know, Whitey's a hitman for some of the biggest mobs. He gets 20, 30 grand a contract.
This holdup could have been a contract.
Oh, a little grocery store keeper? Your ex-girlfriend? This elderly Russian lady? To whom are they worth 20, 30 grand?
Look, if it wasn't a contract, what was Whitey doing in on it?
You know the terrible thing here? This Whitey, this $1 million killer, he can just be walking along the street. He needs some loose change. Maybe he's left his money home, so he walks into the first store he sees.
And what's he going to get? $100? Look at how easy he is to describe. He knows he'll have to kill every living soul in the place, all that for $100?
Yeah, Bobby, he would do all that for just $100. That's what we're dealing with. Well, we better pick him up.
Eleanor was in trouble. That's why she called me.
But you don't know that.
Whitey was paid to kill her and to make it look as if she's the accidental victim of an ordinary stick-up. He works it that way. And just killed 2 other people.
Okay, so now you tell me why she was marked and by who.
I don't know.
Maybe she was running around with Whitey and she might have done something he didn't like.
Yes, like what?
I don't know, like what. Maybe like phoning you, for instance.
Yes?
Dora Hastings?
Yes.
I'm a police detective. May I come in?
Oh, of course, please do.
Thank you.
It's about Eleanor, isn't it? I've already talked to some other officers.
You were her roommate?
Yes, I still can't believe it. I mean, here was a girl with everything to live for. The breaks were really starting to come her way.
What breaks?
You name it, all of them. She'd finally broken into the design field. She got that great consulting job with Wainwright.
Yes?
And she was getting married. Yeah, she grew up at last. She figured it was time to put out the torch.
The torch?
Oh, some fellow she'd gone to school with years ago. They had an argument over something or other, and that was it. For years, maybe she thought he might call her, but he didn't. Can you believe a thing like that?
Yes.
So she settled for the boss's nephew at Wainwright. Can you imagine settle for Lester Crane? Settle for a guy who has either $30 or $40 million? But that's how she put it. She was one of a kind, that girl.
Tell me, recently, did she seem upset about anything?
Well, yes, I would say so.
Can you tell me what it was?
I don't know. I asked her, and she said it was just nerves.
What reason would there be for nerves, as she put it?
Well, that's what I could never understand. She was sitting on top of the world, yet she was terrified.
Terrified? Pretty strong word.
It is. She was terrified.
But weren't you concerned?
I was. But if she made up her mind not to tell you anything, you couldn't shake her.
Yes, I know.
You know? How would you know that?
Oh, I know girls like that. Now, you have no idea what could have caused her to be so frightened.
No. Besides, does it matter anymore? She's dead.
Try to remember everything you can about her being frightened. Just how bad was it?
You want to know? Last week, she got up in the middle of the night. She couldn't sleep. She was irritated.
Irritated by what?
Her body was irritated.
What?
You know, you can get skin rashes from nervousness and tension. She called for a cab and went right to the hospital.
And then?
She came back the next morning. She was better. Anyhow, she seemed different.
In what way?
Quiet. She was quieter, calmer. Actually, she would keep muttering the same thing.
What same thing?
I have no idea. It sounded like EL-77.
EL-77? What's that?
I can't figure it out. She just keeps saying it the way people do when something bothers
Well,
them.
didn't you ask her what it meant?
Well, yes. And she told me right off to forget it.
EL-77.
Well, I don't even know if that's right. It just sounded something like that. Well, yesterday she said, there's only one man in the world who can help me. She was going to call this fellow and ask him to come see her.
Did she say who?
No, I was in the other room when she called him. And I guess he must have turned her down because she said later, it doesn't matter now. And then this morning. Well, I hope I was able to help you.
Help?
Yes. What I told you. Did it help you?
No, Jason. I'm afraid it doesn't help me at all. How can it help when you know that if you had accepted an old friend's invitation to breakfast, she might still be alive? How does it help to know when it's too late that both your lives might have been different? Was that stick-up merely a covering device for her deliberate murder? I'll return shortly with Act 2. The world should turn on love and understanding. Instead, it seems to be spun by vanity and pride. So many people could prevent so many problems. Indeed, could alter the very shape and direction of their lives if they could only talk freely and openly and honestly at the right time. 10 years ago, obviously, Eleanor Brody and Bob Clifton couldn't do it. And today, she has been killed during what appeared to be a grocery store robbery. And he is the detective investigating the case.
Sit down, Sergeant.
I'm sorry to disturb you at a time like this, Mr. Crane.
I understand.
You were Miss Brody's fiancé.
Yes, I was.
Tell me, did she seem to be upset recently?
Upset? Why should she be upset?
Oh, Sergeant, this is my uncle, James Wainwright.
I was told there was a police officer in the house. What can we do for you?
I want to ask a few questions.
Yeah? Why?
Uncle Jim, it should be obvious why.
It isn't obvious to me, and besides, I didn't ask you. After all, what is there to ask? She was killed in a holdup, wasn't she? Well, officer, wasn't she?
That's right.
Unfortunate coincidence. Past life had nothing to do with it. She would have been killed in any event. Therefore, the police have no reason to pry into the affairs of private citizens. Don't you agree, sir?
Well, perhaps if it were just a holdup.
What do you mean, if? What else could it have been?
A way of covering up her murder?
Serious?
Oh, yes, I am. And that's why I'm here, to ask some questions.
Well, how could we possibly help you?
I don't know.
Well, if this is a fishing expedition, you've come to the wrong stream. I will answer no questions unless my attorney is present.
Uncle Jim, the man is just trying to do his
That's
job.
enough out of you two, Lester.
Mr. Wainwright, I'm investigating a murder. I need information on the background of Miss Brody. It's immaterial to me whether I get my answers here or down at headquarters.
I don't like your attitude. I'll have you know the commissioner's an intimate friend of mine.
Uncle, let's get this over with.
Well, what do you want to know?
Miss Brody, did she seem upset lately?
Well?
No. Not at all. Why do you ask?
Her roommate says she was.
No. Well, that happens. Oh. You know women, they get nervous as their wedding day approaches.
I don't mean that kind of nervous. I mean terrified.
Well, yeah, she might have been terrified.
Of what?
Of her approaching responsibility. She was marrying very far above her station in life.
Now, Uncle Jim, you shouldn't talk like that.
Why not? True. She was a poor girl, and my company, which one day will be this young man, has assets of $50 million.
What is your company, sir?
Wainwright Associates.
What does Wainwright Associates do?
Well, you can't be serious.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We import textiles, all kinds of textiles from all over the world.
Yes?
And we sell them to various manufacturers.
I see. And Miss Brody's position?
She was a designer. We maintain a design service for many of our clients.
Well, that should end the inquisition.
Tell me, would either of you be aware of a man with a very light complexion, almost no coloring at all?
Why do you ask?
It's important to our investigation.
No, I'm aware of no such person.
Mr. Crane?
No?
I have a question.
Yes?
My nephew here, Lester Crane, he gave Miss Brody a great many gifts. Are they recoverable?
Uncle Jim, how can we talk about that now?
These things have to be faced, Lester. Now, Sergeant, what procedure do we follow?
It seemed to me that your attorney could advise you. Those gifts were her property. They belonged to her estate.
Well, I'm thinking in particular of things that belong to Wainwright and Companies and designs and clothes, especially a sweater that's a new model.
You'd have to discuss that down at headquarters.
Well, sir, if you have no further questions...
I have no further questions at this time.
Yeah, Captain Gordon. Yes, there may be a break on those murders. But so far we got nothing to give out. Look, Charlie, things are rough all over. Bobby, what have you got?
Sore feet, Captain.
Well, you did want to investigate some murders. Where are we?
The roommate says she was scared stiff.
Yeah, we had that yesterday. And old Wainwright says she was just normally nervous about getting married. And nobody cares what young Lester says because he doesn't count. Is that how it still adds up?
So far. Now, how about Whitey?
Whitey is safe and snug and warm in a rat hole somewhere.
Well, he can't hide forever. I'll get him if it takes the rest of my life.
That's no way for a smart cop to work. There can't be anything personal in it.
This whole thing is personal. If I'd had breakfast with her, she'd still be alive.
But what does that do to your theory? If she was marked, they would have gotten her another time. Yeah, homicide, Captain Gordon.
Oh, Captain, this is Justice Sparrow. There's a detective with you who's investigating that grocery store holdup.
Yeah, Sergeant Clifton. Hold on, Doctor. Bobby, it's Dr. Sparrow at General Hospital. Sergeant Clifton.
Oh, Sergeant, I know you people are very busy, and this is probably nothing.
Well, let me judge that, Doctor.
Well, I mean, on the face of it, I wouldn't even think that there's any evidence.
Well, you must have some reason for calling me.
Well, you remember, Sergeant, when you were in the hospital and we were listening to the poor old Russian lady? She's no better of her.
Sorry to hear that.
Well, I remember we were saying how things were interrelated.
Yes?
And that Miss Brody had been in here a week before she died or was killed because of a severe skin irritation.
Yes, I remember.
Well, she has a roommate, Miss Dora Hastings. Miss Hastings is here now with the same skin irritation. But does it mean anything? I mean, from a police point of view, or am I wasting your time?
I'll be right there.
Actually, she came in last night. She's much better now. We figured it. She can go home tomorrow.
What caused it, Doctor?
Well, it's a sweater.
A sweater?
Probably the most beautiful sweater I've ever seen. Such brilliant color, lovely design, but...
But what?
But there must be something in the dye. It seems to have a very strong alkali base. It can give a lot of trouble, especially to people with sensitive skin.
Hello, Miss Hastings.
Oh, am I in trouble with the law?
Why should you be in trouble with the law?
For taking the sweater.
I don't know anything about that.
I've been punished enough. Take it back. Put it with all her things. I don't want it.
Why don't you tell me about it?
I knew something would happen to me.
What?
I never stole anything in my life. So the first time I weakened, what did I take? I didn't try to steal any of her jewelry or anything that was really valuable. I just took the sweater.
The sweater?
Well, who'd miss it or know anything about it? I couldn't resist it. It's so pretty. So look at what happened. My arms. Certain people, and I'm one of them, should never steal. Please, take it back to the apartment.
All right, now you decided to take the sweater.
I wore it when I went shopping and out to dinner. And then a couple of hours later, I felt as if my whole body were on fire. Say, that's what must have happened to Anna the night she had to come here. She'd worn the sweater, too.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
And where did she get the sweater?
She brought it home from the office. It's one she designed.
You mind if I take it?
Please.
Hey, Bobby. There was a phone call for you.
From whom?
Well, it was about you. It seems that Wainwright had a court order to go to the Brody girl's place and pick up some designs that belong to the firm.
So?
Yeah, so they claim something's missing.
What?
The sweater.
What kind of sweater?
Come on, you know what kind of sweater. The sweater you were supposed to bring back from the hospital. The one that the roommate borrowed.
That sweater?
Where is it?
In my locker?
What kind of game are you playing, Bobby?
If they want it back, I'll bring it back.
Bobby, you're trying to pull a fast one, but this Wainwright has got a lot of clout.
Why did they want the sweater?
Because it's their property.
Sure, but when I was at the house, the old man started a song and dance about recovering some gifts and stuff. It was all a cover.
For what?
For the sweater.
Why would they want that sweater? Huh? From what I hear, it's already given two girls fits. There is a hard luck sweater. Well, still, they want it and it belongs to them. So
I'll bring it back.
Yeah. Bobby, do I know everything that's going on?
No. You only know as much as I do.
You'll personally hand-deliver that sweater?
Of course.
Yes?
I'd like to see Mr. Lester Crane. Police?
Oh, wow. You don't look like a cop.
No, why not?
She's cute.
Did you know Eleanor Brody, Miss,
Carter. Melba Carter.
Miss Carter?
Oh, sure. We both come here about the same week 9 years ago. We both sat at the same desk. She went up. All the way up. She even got the boss's nephew.
Tell me, did she seem nervous lately?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry to say I was so jealous of her I couldn't really see straight. Poor kid. What good did it do her?
Did some man ever come around to see her, a man with a very light complexion?
A guy? He? Oh, no. Why would you want to ruin the world's greatest setup? There was a guy on the side. He was kept out of sight.
Would you tell Mr. Crane that I'm here, please?
Don't you want to ask me any more questions?
Maybe later.
Thank you, Sergeant.
It's a beautiful sweater. I've never seen such brilliant colors and the design.
Yes, well, it's...
I'm sorry there was this misunderstanding. I had intended to return it on my way to work.
It's all right. Look, I want to apologize for my uncle. He lives in a world of his own.
I understand.
He belongs to another time, another place.
Mm-hmm. You were Eleanor's fiancé.
What did you say?
I'm sorry, I was just thinking out loud.
Yes, I was her fiancé, and, I owed her so much. You see, because of her, I stood up to my uncle. He was opposed to our getting married.
Why?
Why? He wouldn't need a reason. He's so contrary. And, well, I always yielded to his judgment, but not this time. Yes.
Miss Green, there's been an inquiry concerning EL-77.
EL-77?
And you told me that...
EL-77?
And you told me you'd handle everything there yourself, so I...
Place that call on hold, and I'll pick it up very soon. Sergeant, is there anything else you want to know? I have some very important things.
No, I've taken up enough of your time. Goodbye, Mr. Crane. EL-77. Once again, a combination of letters and numbers. And what do they mean? One thing is certain. They have the power to make people nervous. First, Eleanor Brody. And now, Lester Crane. EL-77. A simple arrangement of innocent-looking letters and numbers. Well, any arrangement of letters and numbers can look innocent. Consider E equals MC squared. I'll be back, hopefully in just a few moments with Act 2. As the poet said, the saddest words of tongue and pen are these: it might have been. Bob Clifton thinks of what might have been with Eleanor Brody. 10 years ago, they were too proud, too immature, perhaps, to know how to make love endure. Now the only thing that Bob can do for Eleanor is try to bring her killer to justice.
No, Bob.
Why not?
Because you can get into more trouble than you ever thought existed.
Is that all you ever think about, getting into trouble?
Besides, it's wrong.
Why? Why is it wrong?
Because, Bobby, you propose to use a human decoy. A girl can be killed.
How? If we have it staked out, all we want him to do is show himself, then we bag him.
On what charge?
He's been identified as the killer in the grocery store holdup.
How? And by whom? The old lady died last night. What you got on there is delirious mumblings on a tape recorder. Come on. A smart lawyer could kill it. He's got to do more than just show himself. He has to come after her. We have to prove intent to murder.
What do you want? The smoking pistol? By then it's too late.
Not the smoking pistol, but the pistol. He has to be caught in the act of trying to gun her down. And that's cutting it too close.
Not if we have him covered.
It's too risky. Too much can go wrong.
It's the only way.
Bobby, I don't want to hear any more about it.
You don't have to do it, Miss Hastings.
But I want to.
It could be very dangerous.
I don't care. It's the least I can do for Eleanor.
I shouldn't ask you to do it either. It's just that I have to get that killer.
I understand.
Let me make a confession, Miss Hastings.
You don't have to.
I'm the man Eleanor spoke to last Friday.
I knew that.
You knew? How?
Oh, woman's intuition, maybe. But you had to be the man. Do you want me to make that call now?
Yes. And say exactly what I told you.
Hello?
Mr. Wainwright?
Yes?
Mr. Wainwright, I have a talk.
Who are you?
I have certain information
What is this?
concerning EL-77.
What? What did you think?
You heard what I said.
Well, what do you want to talk about?
I don't know. Make me an offer.
Offer? To do what?
Well, not to go to the police, for instance.
Oh. Oh, I see. Is that how it is?
Yes, that's how it is.
Well, let me think about it.
You don't have any time. I'm leaving the country tonight. I'd like to travel first class, if you know what I mean. See you in an hour,
Would you make that 2 hours?
but no longer.
And the address?
18 Stevens Court.
Sounds familiar.
It should. I'm her roommate.
Anyone moving up the street?
Not yet. Are you sure this is the only entrance to the building?
Yes, he couldn't get in any other way.
All right. We have to come up the street. Walk in the front door. Come up the stairs, knock on your door. Now, don't stand near the doorway. He might shoot through it. Leave the door unlocked. When he knocks, you say, "Come in, it's open." When he walks in, I'll be ready for him. And keep out of sight.
Look, down the street. Is that someone coming?
Stand by the side of the window. If that's our boy, don't let him see you.
I know Mr. Wainwright. It isn't him.
No, it wouldn't be Mr. Wainwright. It would be an employee of his. Can't see too well in this dark, but I'm sure that it's
It's who?
the man who killed Eleanor.
So quiet. You can almost hear his footsteps. Wait. There are men getting out of those cars. Look.
Hold it, lady! Freeze!
Artie, what are you doing here?
What am I doing here? I had the place staked out.
Why?
To save your neck. I knew you'd try to get Whitey to show himself. I wasn't going to let him come up to the apartment.
I just killed him. How can we tie him to Wainwright?
Bobby, it was the only thing we could do.
Well, hello.
Oh, you're the cop who called on Mr. Crane, the cute one. Is everything squared away?
Yes, I guess so. I was headed for your office.
Oh, so am I.
But maybe you could do something for me.
Well, why not?
This is a package of some papers that we found in Miss Brody's apartment. Now, some of them look like business things, and we want to return them to the company. Could you save me the trip?
Okay.
It's a nice day for walks, though, isn't it?
I don't even know if they're important, but I figured perhaps...
What's the average cop do on his day off?
Some of them are just notes. And there's a number that I noticed. It says EL77. What does EL77 mean?
It's a lot number.
A lot?
Yeah, it would mean the European lot EL, and the number 77 means 7.7 million yards.
That's quite a number of yards.
Yeah, pretty good size, even for us. It's a hush-hush thing.
What do you mean?
I don't know. The only people who know anything about it are Lester Crane and the old man.
Well, where is it?
Where? The warehouse, I guess. Do you work every day in the week?
Well, thank you very much, and this is a favor. Bye.
Hey, come back here. You forgot... He wants me to deliver a package, and he forgets to give me the package. Some cop. Cute, though.
I'm sorry to bother you again, Doctor.
Oh, it's all right.
That sweater, the one Miss Hastings wore, and we know now that Miss Brody wore it, too. You said something about the dye.
Yes, I sent a few strands to the lab. We have a very extensive allergy clinic here. It's a very good wool, but I'm afraid it's ruined for any kind of wear.
Why?
The dye. It's a strange one, probably foreign. It isn't any of the known dyes used here. It's a very strong alkali content.
If the manufacturer knew the dye had such a strong irritant quality, why would he use it?
You know, maybe he didn't know, or maybe he thought he could get away with it.
Doctor, suppose you knew where a whole lot of this material was. What would happen to it?
Oh, I'm sure it could be condemned. Any federal, state, or city health department or Bureau of Standards would take it right off the market.
Thank you, Doctor.
Do you think this sweater has to do with those murders?
I don't mind telling you, Sergeant, I'm not in the habit of receiving the police at this hour of the night.
I'm here on official business, Mr. Wainwright.
Indeed. Well, then why not conduct it during business hours?
I have here a few strands of a wool material.
Where did you get that?
From a certain sweater.
Oh, what's that to me?
This sweater was a sample. It was to be duplicated and sent out to Wainwright customers to show the brilliant colors that were a part of a certain imported lot.
How dare you pry into the business of my company?
European lot 77. The dye in it makes the material unfit for human clothing.
That is a lie.
Is it? If inspectors were to examine lot number 77 in your warehouse, Mr. Wainwright, what would happen?
Excuse me, I have a document here in my desk which will explain everything. See now. Yes, here it is. All right, put up your hands. No, don't reach for your gun.
You can't get away with it.
Well, I'll just have to.
Uncle Jim, what do you do?
Lester, he has a gun in his belt holster. Reach around. Get it. I warn you, Sergeant. Don't try anything.
But
just do as I tell you. Want to go bankrupt and in jail? Just remove it. Now hold on to that gun.
Oh, what are you going to do with him?
Kill him.
Oh, no.
I just explained the alternative.
That's right, Lester. He has to kill me just as he killed Eleanor.
What? What are you talking
Oh,
about?
he didn't kill her. He hired a thug to do it.
No, she was killed in a holdup.
In what looked like a holdup. You see, she knew about EL-77, too, and she
That's enough.
She wanted you to destroy it.
I know, but how could we do that, huh? We would have lost millions.
She said she'd go to the police, didn't she?
No, she only said she'd break the engagement.
But your uncle could trust her.
Lester, we're wasting time.
You can't keep killing people, Mr. Wainwright.
Uncle Jim, there can't be any killing.
There's already been killing. Your uncle had Eleanor murdered.
Don't listen to him.
Sergeant, look, we have to get rid of that cloth. It's wrong, I know, but if we don't, we'll go broke. Eleanor couldn't understand that. So she walked out on me. But she would have come back afterward, except that she was killed in that store.
No. Wainwright killed her. He knew she'd turn you in.
Don't you see what he's trying to do?
What? Why do we have to kill him?
What else is there?
Why can't we have an understanding? Sergeant, there's a way out of this. There must be.
No. The only way is for me to take Mr. Wainwright and book him for the murder of Eleanor Brody.
And you're going to let him do that?
I can't.
Go ahead, Lester. Ask him. Ask him if he killed her.
Uncle, did you?
What else could be done, you fool? We'd have all gone to the jailhouse first and the poorhouse second.
Did you kill her?
Yes, I killed her. I hired a man to kill her. I had to. You weren't man enough to kill her yourself.
You killed her! Lester! My uncle?
Afraid he's dead.
I hope I die, too.
I'll call an ambulance.
Please. I have to tell you this first. I just shot him to prove something to you.
To me? Why?
Because she told me everything about her past. That she'd always been in love with a man named Bobby Clifton. That's you, isn't it?
Yeah, that's me.
I killed him because she finally made a man out of me. She taught me how to stand up to him. And I did. Didn't I, Bobby?
Yeah. Yes, Lester. You did. The old man is dead. The nephew recovered. Lot EL-77 was destroyed. It would be nice to report that Bobby married Dora Hastings and Lester married Melba, but we're not in business to tie up neat little packages. All we have done is open up the book of someone's life, glanced at a page, and returned it to the shelf, as I shall be returned to you in just a few moments. It is written, every man is a weaver, and on his loom he weaves his life. But the colors and the design are not created by the skill of his hands. Rather, do they spring forth from the beauty of his heart. We are also weavers of spells. And we hope you will join us 7 times each week and enjoy our designs. Our cast included Mandel Kramer, Bob Caliban, Joe Silver, Bryna Rayburn, and Catherine Byers. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
They're hiding in a cave.
A cave?
You must do better than that, my dear.
You pick up the pathway just past our house, and you follow it north for 2 miles. Now you come to a deep ravine. In front of you is what looks like a wall of solid rock.
But it isn't.
No. Because when you climb to the top of it, you will see the entrance to the cave.
Thank you. Sergeant, place her under arrest.
But you said...
I said you'd be rewarded. At this point, I don't know how. If you're lying, a firing squad will give you 30 leaden bullets. If you're truthful, there are 30 silver krona.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Mystery Theater comes to you from CBS Radio and Radio 87 WWL here in New Orleans. Our studio is located in the historic old French Quarter, way down yonder in New Orleans. 8 minutes after 8 o'clock.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. In his immortal Comedy of Manners, William Congreve wrote, "Heaven hath no rage like love to hatred turned, nor hell a fury like a woman scorned. That was over 200 years ago. Have matters changed in the intervening centuries? Judge for yourself in this story, which happens today.
Mark. What is it, dear?
I thought you were sound asleep. All those pills.
Something woke me for the moment. I don't know why. I came alive so suddenly. Some alarm bell in me.
Which will never ring. You're not going to be alive.
What are you doing with that pillow?
Playing Othello to your Desdemona, my love.
No, Mark. You can't be serious. It's all just...
Yet I'll not shed your blood, nor scar that whiter skin of yours than snow. Yet you must die. Put out the light, and then put out the light. If I can quench thee. No more moving. Still as the grave. My wife. My wife.
Our mystery drama, Hell Hath No Fury, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Ian Martin and stars William Redfield. Mark Stanton and Emily Lawrence. The Wedding of a Decade. The first, a shining light of the classical theater. The second, a new, fresh, and lovely star of the screen who transcended any picture she illuminated. A public romance shared avidly by the fans that ranks with Romeo and Juliet, Eloise and Abelard, Desdemona and Othello, and which is destined to end as tragically. But to start a story, one must have a beginning, not an ending. So let's go back a few days before Emily Lawrence's sudden and tragic death. Back to a meeting between Emily's half-sister, Elspeth Whitmore, and Mark Stanton.
But who the devil? All right, doll, you better get your clothes on and be ready to scoot. I'll give you the high sign. Hand me my gown, will you? Whoever it is, they aren't going to quit. Thanks, baby. Oh, it's you. Where did you get a key, Elspeth?
One of the privileges of the family, even a half-sister.
Well, come in. Why ring the bell when you have a key?
I wanted to give you time to, put your robe on.
Well, I was just trying to snatch 40 winks.
Oh, do I know her? Didn't she used to go under the name of Tiger Tilly, the jungle cat?
Funny, very funny.
Not to me, or would it be to my sister? Now get rid of her, Mark. I want to talk to you. I will be in the living room on the phone, my back to the door, pretending your matinee curtain isn't coming down early. But don't think I won't sneak a look at what's your style this month, brother-in-law. B. Elspeth. Anything stirring? Oh, how much? No, that's too low. They've got to come up with 700. Well, let them stew on it. I'll be back in the office soon. Huh? Oh, wait a sec. No. No, I was just looking at a would-be rising star. Listen, if there's anything urgent, I'm at my sister's apartment. It's listed under Mark Stanton on the Rolodex, but it's still my sister's apartment. Bye.
Well, Elspeth, to what do I owe this rather surprising early afternoon visit? I thought agents were always busy during lunch hours.
Sorry to disappoint you. We take a breather now and then. Don't you ever?
What does that mean?
Well, didn't I surprise you hard at work?
Now, look, Eleanor brought me a new treatment she wanted me to see.
I'll bet she did.
A screen treatment, a script.
Okay, Casanova. That's enough banter. Are we alone in this joint now?
Oh, don't tell me you want to open old books between us.
No, this is a new one. We closed the other when you married my sister.
Half-sister.
Do you have to rub it in? I'm plain, flat-chested, and no hard hat ever whistled at my legs, but I still have brains.
Who needs them when you have Emily's 36, 24, 36, and even the members of the Union League Club look up from the Wall Street Journal when she moves by?
Mark, sit down. I'm about to kick your feet from under you.
What are you talking about?
It's a pity you met me before Emily, isn't it, Mark? And needed me.
I beg your pardon.
Well, without an agent and one who cared, you were nothing but a stud. If I hadn't nursed and supported you through speech lessons, singing lessons, small parts, and nothing out of town
Now,
theater...
damn you, I may not have had much education, but I always had talent.
Oh, I'll grant you that. But you're lazy. And once you met Emily and knew she had all the looks and all the money, it was time to drop me. But don't forget Emily's money comes from being a film star. And I made her that.
Let's forget past history.
Mark, since I came back from Europe, I've been going over Emily's financial position.
But what right have you to...
I happen to be her manager as well as her agent. And I don't like what I see. Emily has never made more in her life. You have never spent more.
We have a front to keep up as two reigning stars.
Hogwash. You're a successful ham who draws suburban ladies with delusions of culture and dreams of vicarious God knows what to the theater. You make peanuts compared to Emily and spend the kind of money she makes.
A temporary loan or two. I have some pictures in the works.
Oh, come on, Mark. You couldn't draw flies to a movie theater even in an exploitation film.
Huh.
So, I have talked it over with Emily, and as Harry Truman used to say, the buck stops here.
What does that mean?
I'm putting Emily on an allowance, enough to take care of her needs. You can handle the apartment and the rest. But no more play money, little boy. And that's only the beginning. The next thing I'm going after is her will. The one that leaves everything to you. If anything should ever happen to my sister, I can think of better causes for her estate to serve than Mark Stanton, the heel of ham. In the elevator, all my efforts to stay calm and unruffled meeting Mark again dissipated into thin air. Thank heaven I was alone, as my knees turned to water, thinking and dreaming of him as once it had been between us. By the time I reached the ground floor, I knew I needed another session with Madame Erexo.
Why do you imagine you can ever fail? You are one of us. I have always thought one of the strongest in the coven.
I never have doubts except in one area.
Every Achilles has his vulnerable heel. Every witch her own weakness. We must fight always against the world to hold the true faith. Come, daughter. Let us pray together. Draw the drapes while I light the candles. Now, step within the magic circle with me.
Yes. Oh, great Erexo, mother of us all, who crouch in the black shadow of your wings.
I conjure the form of the instrument, by Lucifer, prince of darkness, by all the stars which rule by the four elements, that we may obtain by thee the perfect issue of all our desires, which also we seek to perform without evil, without deception. We are answered.
I know what I'm doing is right. Will it turn out that way? Will you read the tarot cards for me?
I am your sister in Satan. I am at your command. Sit down while I shuffle the cards. You know what that means without asking.
The King of Coins.
A sign of ill omen. Was the question asked for yourself?
No. I will ask one for myself now.
Then cut. The Ace of Cups. That is a promise of beauty and fertility.
For me?
Why not? You are young.
Scarcely beautiful. One more question.
One only.
I'm asking it in my mind.
Cut. The card of death. The 9 of swords.
No. Not my sister. Not my sister.
I love you, Emily.
I love you, Mark. Oh, now I feel relaxed and hungry.
Good. Elspeth was around this afternoon.
Here?
Oh, being the big business manager, saying we were spending too much money.
She's smarter than we are about things like that.
Yes, but is she really putting you on a strict allowance?
Well, I guess I'll have to go along with her. She says I'm starting to spend more than I make. Now, how is that possible?
Maybe you need a new business manager.
Oh, no, but it would be better than Elspeth. Besides, she's got to make a living, too. And who would I get?
Well, how about me?
Oh, darling, you have no idea of the value of money.
No, when I'm old and penniless, and if in his infinite mercy the man upstairs saves you from looking at me anymore and snatches you upstairs for himself, Elspeth tells me she'll be my guardian.
Well, she does want me to make a new will. And it wouldn't be a bad idea. We're both so stupid about how to handle what we've got. And if anything ever should happen to me...
Oh, darling, please, I was only kidding. Let's get off this.
No, as long as we got on it, I think Elspeth has the right idea. She'd see you didn't throw it all away, so I agreed. I'm going to remake my will on Monday.
Well...
Now, I've got to wash up, and you go tell the cook to get that dinner on the table. I am famished.
Well, that tears it. Elspeth, Emily, one of you has got to go. Now, let's see. Which shall it be? Which can I get away with?
Charming fellow Mark Stanton. Matinee idol for a limited audience of aging women. His main role, Romeo. Although he has been seen with varying success critically as Orlando, Bassanio, Lysander, all Shakespearean lovers. Interesting casting when you think of it. Or as we learn about him. He might have made a better Claudius, of whom his nephew Hamlet said, that one may smile and smile again and be a villain. I'll be back shortly with Act 2. A famous epitaph on a child's grave reads, "It is so soon that I am done for. I wonder what I was begun for." That might apply to this story of Emily Stanton, or at least the plan that is forming in the mind of her husband, Mark.
The problem with murder is not to want to commit it, but how. How to commit it and not be caught. One thing I knew, it would have to be out of the city. And fortunately, we have a place up the Hudson Valley, suitably isolated. Also, by sheer luck, Emily's picture was not shooting that weekend.
Oh, what time is it, Mark? Mark?
Did you call, milady?
Oh, what on earth are you doing up at 5:30 in the morning?
Bringing the woman I adore beyond reason her orange juice. And coffee's on the way.
Oh, you angel. Thanks.
Welcome.
I'm so tired, I don't know how I'm going to make it to the studio today.
I'll call them and tell them you're not well.
No. 2 more days, and I have a whole long 3-day weekend off. I'll bounce back then.
Speaking about the weekend, how about going up to the country?
No, thanks. I want to just slump down here in bed and sleep and rest and hole in like a bear for his winter sleep.
Oh, but darling, it isn't winter, it's spring. And I want to get up to the house.
That long drive.
Well, you see, I'm worried. You know, I've got the hole dug in the fall. I've got to get that sump pump into the cellar before the spring waters flood us again. You can rest up there just as well.
I can rest here, and we can get some men to do the job.
Oh, where were they last fall when we needed them?
Can't we make it next weekend?
Well, it'd be too late by then, I'm afraid.
All right, darling. I never can refuse you anything. Everything I do is for you. Have is yours.
Except for letting your sister run our lives.
Oh, that's just money. Because neither of us know how to handle
Well, what's it for except to buy things? Well, we can enjoy them. I mean, I'd feel like a fool having to run to Elspeth for the rent or something.
Are you trying to get rid of me?
Well, of course not, darling. How could you think a thing like that?
I don't. So stop talking about it. You'd only have to do that if I was dead, and I don't intend to be.
I should hope not.
Look at the time. Whoop, I've got to shower and dress and get out of here.
How about lunch?
I can't, sweetie. I have a business appointment. In the shower, a moment or two later, I wondered why I hadn't told Mark my lunch was with Elspeth. Then I decided it was better that I hadn't. And I wished I hadn't agreed to dragging up to the country house. But he's really so beautiful and so sexy and so persuasive, it's awfully hard to refuse Mark anything. If I'd only known I'd picked the wrong thing to ever refuse him, I'd never have let Elspeth talk me into what she called
having more backbone, Emily. You can't give in to everything Mark wants or asks. He's a selfish child.
That isn't true, Elspeth.
Look, honey, take it from me. I found out the hard way.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring all that up again.
All right, forget it. I've forgotten Mark that way. Plant us two side by side and ask any man to choose. Which way would it go?
Well, I'd never have come back from the coast a year ago if I'd known I was going to bust up a romance between you.
Emily, we've been over this ground before. You didn't bust up the romance. There wasn't any to bust up except on my side. Mark needed a good agent, and he got me. In more ways than one. So, fini, period.
I'm still sorry it hurts. I wish I could make up for it.
Well, you can. Two ways. Draw that will making me executrix of your estate and let me budget your dough.
It seems unfair to Mark.
Listen, Emily, I don't want you to get your back up, but I get the word he has gambling debts, and if he thinks he has backing, he could go sky high. Now, just let me put the brakes on, okay? I suppose it's too much to hope that your love for that muscle-bound Greek statue you married isn't letting up any.
Mark? What would make you think a thing like that?
Oh, I don't know, just an irrational hope, I guess.
You still love him, don't you?
That isn't the point. I love you, and I'm very concerned about you.
What do you mean?
I don't know. You'd only laugh at me if I told you. It's really funny, isn't it? I mean, the genes. We both come from the same mother, but our fathers were so different. You, blonde, blue-eyed, open, uncomplicated, trusting. And me, dark, brooding, sharp-tongued. Much of this world, and yet not.
What does that mean?
I could never explain that to you in a millennium. But I am a psychic.
You mean like those funny cards you used to read and foretelling what's going to happen and things like that?
Yes, things like that. Emily, listen to me. This is a dangerous time for you. Be careful. Just be very careful.
But I don't know what you mean.
I can only see so far. I can only warn you. Just be very careful.
Now, you are scaring me.
I mean to.
Well, it is known to you. It's just that I have the weekend off, and Mark and I are going to the country. Ellie, I really don't want to. I'm scared of the drive.
You mean because of Mom and your father?
Yes.
Emily, how many times have I told you it wasn't your fault? It was in the cards.
I was driving when they were killed.
And a drunken madman by fatal chance jumped the road divider and forced you off the road. What else could you have done? It was not your fault.
I know, but I still have nightmares about it.
You're not going to drive, are you?
I'll never drive a car again. It's just, I'm afraid even to get into one.
Now, excuse me for changing the subject, but you have to get back to the set soon. I want you to take a quick run up to my office.
Why?
Harry is there now. I had him draw up a new will for you, and I think we ought to get it signed right away.
Well, I don't know. Mark is sort of hurt.
Emily, if anything ever happens to you, I will take care of him the way he should be.
You know you can trust me for that.
Emily?
Yes?
Oh, you had your eyes closed. I thought you were asleep.
That's not why my eyes were closed.
Oh, darling, come on. We've got to put things behind us.
I try. It's just... You're in the fast lane.
Oh, darling, it's late. I want to get us home.
Move over. Never travel in this lane.
All right. I'm sorry. I'll cut right into the next lane as soon as the car behind me passes. Now, please, sweetheart, I want you to relax. Just forget everything this weekend. Just play possum. Play possum. Would I have the nerve to do it? And beyond that, could I really find the how? As the hum of the car soothed both of us, and Emily appeared really to drop off to sleep, other things came to my mind. That damn cellar. Flooding every spring when the surface water unfroze and coming down the hill defeated every trick we tried to keep it out. The sump pump was the only answer. And suddenly, at that moment, although it turned my stomach, there was the answer to my bigger problem.
Elspeth, you are very early.
I know.
The coven does not meet until midnight.
I had to come. I need a special reading. I have intimations of disaster. You remember our last...
One of my gifts is total recall.
The last question I asked turned up the 9 of Swords. I asked about my sister.
Oh?
Now I want to know how soon. When?
That is not always divulged. But let us tell the gods and find out if we can. If you want.
If I want?
Remember, there is no way of stopping what has been decreed.
Has it been a good weekend, darling?
Oh, yes. I feel so rested, so relaxed.
Good.
Maybe it's just as well I came. Did you get everything done in the cellar you want?
Well, yes, I had to do some more digging, make the hole larger, but I have plenty of cement to finish up tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Well, that's Monday.
Right. I thought you could drive down tonight.
You know I won't think of ever driving again.
All right, darling, all right. I'll drive you in the morning and then drive back up. Now, come on, sweetie. I've taken off the phone so we won't be disturbed. And I'm going to carry you up to bed and tuck you in for the best sleep you've ever had in your life.
I was so tired I could hardly keep my eyes open. But some inner alarm, some nonsense voice kept jogging at me to stay awake. Until I thought it's only tension. Foolish to be afraid. I am in my beloved husband's arms. And how safe can I be? Is she still in danger?
The 9 of Swords still threatens.
But when? How soon?
I cannot tell from the cards.
Maybe I should call the country. May I use your phone?
Of course. What danger can she be in with her husband?
Oh, it's a very long drive. You know what those roads are like. Oh, damn.
What?
A busy signal. Well, at least it means they got there safely. Still...
Wait for the mass tonight. Within this circle, more questions are answered than through the cards. Be patient.
I'll try. But I can feel death in my bones.
Yes, you must die. Put out the light, and then put out the light. If I can quench thee. No.
No more moving. Still as the grave. My wife. My wife. I must have been mad, Emily, to have killed you. Because I do love you. Only that I love myself more. Or money? With the need of it? What have I done? How do I cover it? Of course. The car. An accident. No. An accident with the car into the river at the Devil's Elbow. But the body must never be recovered. Then, who could prove anything? The grave is already made. Can I get away with it? Of course I can. I can get away with anything.
No! What is it, Elspeth? You interrupt the mass.
Eric thought a death has occurred. A death you prophesied. I must leave. Give me permission to leave the magic circle.
If the death is accomplished, what can you do? But go, if you must.
Well, try it again, operator. Or get me someone who can make the connection if it's out of order. This is a matter of life and death.
Shame to waste a car I love. On such a night, Troilus climbed the Athenian walls. Madness. The whole thing is madness. But there has to be a reason for Emily's death. The car smashing through the guardrail 500 feet to the river below. The car recovered, the body never. I will bury that 5 fathoms deep. And why should anyone question that Emily's body lies cemented in the well of a new sump pump planned over a year ago? So, goodbye, my favorite car.
The die is cast. The adversaries established. A murderer and a witch. By whom is justice best served? Which will prevail? If a woman has loved not wisely but too well, who can best revenge her? The majesty and justice of the law, or a kangaroo court beyond and outside the law? I'll return shortly with Act 3. Mark Stanton has deliberately murdered his wife. And he has had what seems to him a very practical means of disposing of body and suspicion, which may work for normal authority, but possibly not for his sister-in-law, since he has no idea that she is a modern witch. For the moment, he is involved with simple but furiously necessary occupations.
That looks pretty good. Pump in its well, cellar floor replaced. Who'd ever find Emily or think to look for her here? What the devil? 3 a.m. in the morning. Who? Damn. Lights are on upstairs. I better answer. Gotta change first.
Well, about time.
Oh.
I always seem to be surprising you en dishabille.
Well, what do you expect at this time of night? All right, come in.
That's about the first polite thing you've said to me in months.
Oh, let's cut the funny talk. What are you doing up here in the middle of the morning?
An interesting phrase. Shouldn't it be the middle of the night?
All right. Let's bury the New York smart talk. What do you want?
To see my sister.
She isn't here.
Oh? Why not?
She had a 5 o'clock call on location for sunrise shots. So she decided to drive back last night and have the limousine take her on location this morning. What made you take a 2-hour drive out here at this time of night?
I'll tell you half of it. I was scared, if that means anything to you.
Well, it doesn't. What's the other half?
I won't tell you that yet. Although someday you just might have to learn.
I won't even pretend to understand that. Oh, excuse me. Yes. Yes, that's right. I'm Mark Stanton. What? Where? No, never mind all that. How is she? No, I'll be right down there.
What was that?
Emily. Her car went out of control.
At Devil's Elbow.
Oh, no.
She went through the guardrail, plunged 500 feet down into the river. The car's a total wreck.
Never mind the car. What about Emily?
Well, they haven't found her yet. The car windows were open. If she got swept down the river and into the lake, they may never find her.
You mean she's dead?
You don't have to. And what else? A plunge like that, the car totaled. What else is there to think?
Nothing. Emily is dead.
What? That's a strange way to... Oh, Elspeth, I'm sorry. This must be terrible for you, too.
It is terrible for me. But not too.
Huh? What does that mean?
I mean, you killed her.
How could you
think a thing like that?
I don't think. I know. But it isn't going to do you any good. It was all for nothing.
I don't know what you mean.
You will. When I'm ready to tell you. Right now, let's go to the scene of the... What shall we call it, Mark? Let's just say... the tragedy.
Okay, boys, use the crowbars. Get those doors open. Go over the inside. Check the ignition key, huh? Oh.
You Mr. Stanton?
Yes, that's right.
I'm Mrs. Stanton's sister.
How do, ma'am? I'm sorry about this.
My wife, you think she's dead?
What can I say? A fall like that, and
what?
Well, ma'am, this here shoe. One of my men found its mate washed ashore just before the river empties into Lake Kahakawa. Right down near where the car landed, in the river, we found your sister's pocketbook. It don't look good.
Can't her body be recovered from the lake?
We'll try, but that lake bottom is soft mud, or whatever you want to call it, from all the leaves the trees have been dropping for millions of years. It's like a quicksand. Nobody who ever drowned in that lake ever was seen again.
Oh, my God.
Look, why don't you go on home, Mr. Stanton, and take your sister-in-law with you. As soon as I'm finished up here, I'll drive up. There are some questions I'll have to ask.
But what do you mean? Was Emily exceptionally tall?
Well, for a woman, I meant.
Actually, my sister was quite small. 2 inches shorter than I am. And I'm only 5'4".
Well, all right, yes, Emily was quite tiny, but what difference does that make?
The driver's seat was adjusted for somebody as tall as, well, say you, sir.
Oh, well, it could have been knocked back in the crash, couldn't it?
Yes, sir. It could. Was your wife wearing gloves when she left?
Gloves? Why?
Driver's wheel had no fingerprints on it. I just wondered.
Oh, yes. Now I remember. Yes, I think, yes, she did have gloves.
You drive with gloves, Mr. Stanton?
Well, yes, usually, and the car is on constant maintenance at the garage.
Yes, sir. All right, just one more question for now. Were you alone in the house when the accident happened?
Oh, I suppose I must have been.
Well, I was just wondering if your sister-in-law was also here.
I arrived shortly before Emily left. I had planned to drive her into town this morning. We had some business to discuss, but when she insisted on leaving last night, I was just too tired to make the trip, and I had brought Mark a new script. And since Emily was taking Mark's car, I decided to stay, let him read the script, and we could drive in tomorrow discussing it and return it on time.
Well, I guess that closes things up for me. Sorry to have taken so much time. My condolences, Mr. Stanton. I hope we can find your wife.
He is just as certain of it as I am. You murdered Emily.
What are you saying?
The truth.
If you believe that, why did you alibi me?
I wanted to spike the sergeant's suspicions, at least temporarily.
What are you up to?
At the moment, not very much. I want to sleep on all of this. Oh, by the way, don't entertain any ideas of getting rid of me. You see, brother-in-law, dear, I happen to be exactly what you think of me. A witch. Only I am a real one. And because I am what I am, I can feel her presence in this house. If I told the police what I know, they'd search it from top to bottom.
Huh. Because of someone who claims to have ESP, they'd write you off as a nut.
Mark, you haven't a leg to stand on. On last Wednesday, when we had lunch, I arranged for Emily to change her will. It was finalized before you drove up here Friday. I am executrix and control every penny. I'm too tired to talk about it now. After I've slept on it, I'll decide your future. I suggest you get some rest to prepare for it.
I wouldn't have bet a plugged nickel I could get any sleep out of what was left of the night. But a bottle of brandy and sheer emotional exhaustion from fright put me to sleep in the library chair. The last thing I remember was a whirling confusion of surrealistic plots for disposing of Elspeth. I even finally believed what I'd always thought of her. That she was a witch.
I was sick with grief and desperately tired. But I couldn't go to sleep. Every time my eyes closed, I seemed to hear a voice. I couldn't stand it any longer. I got up, went downstairs. I saw Mark passed out in the library, a brandy bottle in his hand, and the voice was closer. The voice drew me to the cellar. And there, beside the furnace, I knew it at last. The fresh cement, still drying, beautifully blended and tapered into the old surface. Now I knew where my sister was. Now I knew exactly what I had to do.
I now pronounce you Elspeth Garrick Whitmore, and you, Mark Blaine Stanton, man and wife. You may kiss the bride.
Home sweet home. So, you got me at last, Elspeth.
That's right, Mark. My dear husband. And no way out for you. One word from me and Sergeant Harkness would dig up that cellar and you'd spend the best part of your life in jail for murder.
I'm grateful to you, of course. But some things I still don't understand.
Oh, you will. Huppy, darling. Just give your bride a few minutes to slip into something fetching, and we'll start to begin our married life. I promise you'll find me all I told you I really am. Bewitching.
I damned her under my breath for what she claimed to be. I found a longing ache for Emily and what she'd been to me. I seethed at being emasculated, at having to act like a pet poodle, at the hopelessness of my situation. I dreamed of the 1,000th plot to get rid of Elspeth. Oh, an idle dream. I'd gotten away with it once, never again. And then she called me into the bedroom.
Come, lover boy.
Oh, good Lord. No.
You didn't really believe I was a witch, did you?
You're not Elspeth. You're Emily.
I've borrowed her aspect. Does it please you?
Yes, I love you. I want you. Oh, Emily, my beloved.
Elspeth, Mark, not Emily. Only her aspect, which you will live with every moment we're at home.
Oh.
But you will not touch me, either as myself or my sister you killed.
I don't understand.
I want to be sure you can't get away with it. A good lawyer, your own natural charm, a long, bitter trial, the possibility of escape, and even if they found you guilty, there is no death penalty, so my way's better. No money, no freedom, and the remembrance every day of the crime you committed, the girl you murdered to haunt you fresh and lovely while you grow old and forgotten. This is your cell, Mark. Plush-lined, perhaps, but more confining than anything state or government could devise. And I am your jailer. Watching you die a little day by day, year by year. I've read it in your cards, traced it in your horoscope. You will have a long hell on earth before the spirit I worship welcomes you to the real hell for eternity. This is my revenge for my sister and for myself.
As it was in the beginning, so it is now and ever shall be. Heaven hath no rage like love to hatred turned, nor hell no fury like a woman scorned. For this story there is no ending. A man bought only what he deserved. I'll be back shortly. For a while, Mark Stanton's matinee ladies wondered about his abrupt retirement. But the Gorgon who guarded him fiercely finally discouraged their attentions. Not Elspeth alone. His good looks began to fade strangely, till by the time he was 35, his haunted, gaunt face and emaciated body looked more like a man in his 70s. He eventually was committed to a state institution for the insane and died there without even an obituary to mark his passing. Mysteriously and suddenly, Elspeth died on the same day. Our cast included William Redfield, Patricia Wheel, Terry Keane, and Ken Harvey. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown.
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. In a strange state at the moment, here in my book-lined library, I've been browsing and coming across a well-thumbed copy of John Donne, the great English poet. My mind leaped instantly to his most famous lines. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. And suddenly I was reminded of a story which half relates to that doer prophecy and half, well, judge for yourself. Our mystery drama, When the Death Bell Tolls, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Ian Martin, and stars Mary Jane Higby and Rosemary Rice. It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division and Sign-Off, the sinus medicines. I'll be back shortly with Act One. There is no terror greater than the terror of the unknown. That's a cliché almost all of us accept without question. And yet, so few of us ever really face it except vicariously. But
But the shakiness of the simple matter of living through each day and reaching for tomorrow touches all of our lives at one time or another. This is a story that begins with the most common and ultimate terror most of us in our mechanized world can face. The automobile out of control and headed for unavoidable destruction.
All right, everyone, cool it. Doctor and Julie.
Yes, Doctor.
Have the orderlies get the man into emergency. And get me a rundown on him.
Right away, sir.
The woman is dead. Nurse, take her to the morgue.
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, Sergeant. How did it happen?
Well, I was on patrol with my buddy, Doctor, and we just called in our 2 a.m. check, and we heard this crash. Now, from the sound of it, I knew it had to be Slate's corner.
Why? And if you don't mind, tell me as we walk into emergency.
Now, I don't know if you know that road.
Yes, Bayberry Lane.
Bayberry Lane, right where it takes that almost 45-degree turn.
With old man Slate's private brick wall facing you if you don't make it. And that's what they hit, huh?
Oh, just about head on. He'd started to make a left turn, so the passenger side took the worst part of the collision.
And that's why the woman is dead. There was fire, too.
Damn car went up like a rocket. The guy managed to roll out and get away from the flames, but the woman, well, you saw her.
Yes, she was lucky at that. Her neck was broken at the moment of impact. Probably never even felt the flames.
There wouldn't be none of her left if we hadn't been able to hook her out of there. The car was still burning when we left with the ambulance.
You know who they are?
And we got some identification off the guy, driver's license, etc. Dana Trent's his name.
Okay. Suppose you give the admitting office all the information you got while I check Mr. Trent out with Dr. Renzulli.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Oh, how's it look, Dom?
He's in shock, Doctor. I've got whole blood on the way. 4 quarts. Heaven knows how much he's lost.
From where?
He must have stuck his hand through the windshield. Both the radius and the ulna are green stick fractures, and the radial artery was cut. I'm suturing it now.
Oh, that's fine, nurse. Yes, bring the tree around to this right side.
Yes, Dr. Mitchell.
And get me a canola. You got to make the cut down fast and get some blood into this baby.
What size, Doctor?
Biggest we got. You have to move fast. Swab. Yeah, that's it. Veins shot to hell. Arteria's sclerotic. Let's have the needle. Can't get through that junk. Give me a smaller one. It's too young to have hardening arteries like that. Must be a high liver. There. That's better. Is the blood moving?
Yes, Doctor. It's starting to feed in.
Okay. How are you coming, Dom?
I got the fascia sutured. You want me to do the fancy work?
No, I trust your embroidery. Yeah, it's funny.
If it's funny, tell me. I could use a laugh.
No, not funny that way. When I was talking to the sergeant, from his report, he must have gotten to the accident within a couple of minutes. They had a tourniquet on Mr. Trent here as soon as they had him in the ambulance. And the police must have done something to stem the bleeding till it got there. So how come he's lost so much blood?
Search me. You can see in what deep shock he's in.
Did you palpate him at all?
No, I was too busy fixing up his arm.
Okay, nurse, move his other arm out of my way. But make sure that blood keeps feeding.
Yes, sir.
There's no sign from the outside he hit that hard.
Well, he took most of the force of the shock on his arm.
His abdomen is pretty rigid. Yeah, I don't like the feel of his liver. And I can't locate the spleen. Nurse.
Yes, sir.
Alert OR, possible emergency operation. Hepatography. See if Gentry's free to assist.
Yes, Dr. Hobbs. What about anesthesia?
I'll get Dr. Schultz for the anesthesia, general inhalation. But tell him the spleen is involved.
Yes, sir.
What's the matter, Dom? You slip a stitch?
No, sir. Maybe I speak as a poor old 27-year-old resident internist, but is an operation really necessary? If there's liver damage, can't we control it medically?
It could be fatal not to go in and stop the bleeding, I'm sure, is there.
Well, it could be just as fatal to operate while he's in deep shock.
It's a toss-up. But we don't have to argue about it yet. Let's get him into X-ray and patch up his other troubles. You handle that while I go out and see the sergeant and find out a little bit more about just who this carcass is that we're arguing about.
How's the patient, Doc?
It's touch and go, Sergeant. Did you get an identification?
Did I? And have we bought ourselves a live one? See, this guy Trent. Now, reason I guess none of us reacted too much to his name is he's been out of the picture a long time. I thought they got divorced.
Who?
Laura Stanton and him.
Laura Stanton?
The Philadelphia Stantons. Multi-millionaire family. She married this actor who turned out to be a real bad actor maybe 20 years ago.
Oh, well, they'd be out of my circles.
Well, them kind of people are outside of my circle in one way, and in another way they ain't. Now, I just talked to the lieutenant, and he wants to keep this under wraps until we get the story straight. Now, first of all, is this guy going to live?
I can't answer that, Sergeant. He's an X-ray now, and where we go from there is an open book. The one thing I do know, that now he's identified, we've got to get his family or his nearest relative here fast.
I guess that'd be his daughter.
And let me have her phone number so I can bring her in. My guess is that an emergency operation is indicated. Technically, I'd need permission to go ahead with the risk involved.
Well, you're busy, Doc. Well, why don't you let me handle that for you? I'll get her down here right away.
Okay. I'll be right with you, Dom. He's got some wet plates, may tell the story better than we know yet. But I have a hunch I have to operate. And from what you tell me, I'd feel a lot safer if I had the family's permission.
I won't let you down, Doc. Now, they're still wet, a little hard to read, but you see on the scanner.
Yeah.
No broken ribs, maybe the 6th, 7th cracked a little, but no real fracture.
Yeah, Dom, I agree. No evidence of fracture, or that the liver was damaged externally. But damn it, this is just a gut reaction. I know there's bleeding there. Dural hematoma, pelvic hematoma, aneurysm, I don't know. I think we got to go in.
Only 2 things against that old buddy.
What?
First, we've got to build him up so he can take the operation.
Okay, no argument there, but what's number 2?
2, you've got to keep your own skirts clean. Someone in the family's got to sign a release.
Well, there's no problem in that. His daughter has been contacted, and she's on her way to the hospital right now. How's that for timing? Dr. Hobbs? Who? Mrs. Harcourt Stanton. She did? No, I'm expecting a Mrs. Olivia Trent. Oh, wait a minute. That must be the grandmother. Yes, of course. Send her right in.
Say, is this the legendary Mrs. Stanton, the one who wore sneakers to the inauguration ball?
Well, I know nothing about the lady's idiosyncrasies, Dom. I guess with her background, she can afford to do it.
You're about to learn some of her idiosyncrasies.
How do you know so much about her?
I was born and bred in Paoli, just outside of Philly. I'm a treasure house of knowledge about it and Rittenhouse Square and people like the Stantons. You want me to let her in before she breaks it down?
Yeah, maybe you'd better.
About time. I detest being kept waiting. You're very young for a surgeon, Dr. Hobbs.
I'm Dr. Renzulli. I'm the resident. All I do is make guesses. The mistakes I leave up to Dr. Hobbs.
Won't you sit down, Mrs. Stanton?
Oh, so you know who I am.
Oh, yes. The nurse warned me. I mean, alerted me. I was expecting your granddaughter, Miss Trent.
Olivia seldom leaves the house. She's a recluse. She is extremely delicate and easily upset. Besides, she would have been of no legal use to you. She hasn't reached her 18th birthday yet. I'm still her legal guardian.
I see.
I understand you want permission to operate on my son-in-law.
Well, we would merely like authorization in case it should become necessary.
Well, is it or isn't it?
I'm afraid it isn't quite that simple, Mrs. Stanton.
Why not?
You know what happened early this morning?
I know that my daughter Laura left our house with her husband and that he smashed the car into a stone wall.
He smashed himself into the same wall.
Only my daughter is dead, and he is still alive.
But very seriously injured. There's damage to the liver, probably the spleen is affected, and there's hematoma and severe internal bleeding.
At this moment, what would you estimate his chances of recovery from a surgical procedure might be?
Well, I can't be too hopeful. Perhaps 50-50.
And if the operation is not performed, Dr. Renzulli?
Well, if his condition doesn't improve in the next 12 to 24 hours, I could be wrong. The operation would become mandatory.
But if we wait, in the meantime, he might bleed to death.
We'd never let it go that far.
But in your opinion, without the operation, his chances of survival would be lessened?
In my opinion, yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's all I wanted to know.
I have the consent form for the operation here, Mrs. Stanton, if you just sign it now.
I haven't the slightest intention of signing it. I hope you're right, Dr. Hobbs, and that Trent bleeds to death as you anticipate. It would be a small return for the way he has bled my family. I absolutely forbid any operation.
But, Mrs. Stanton...
I'm gambling that you are right, Dr. Hobbs, and Dr. Renzulli is wrong. The best this man deserves is to die. And I would be happy to think he did it the same way he did it to my daughter. Slowly, irreversibly, just to bleed to death.
There are drives and forces without the supernatural just as terrifying as the fires of hell, the curses of witches. Here now, today, an old woman, embittered by who knows what past depredations against her and her family, seems to hold the fate of a man quite literally in her hands. Is she right or wrong to deny Dana Trent his chance for life? I'll return shortly with Act 2. Dr. Mitchell Hobbs, Assistant Chief of Surgery at Temple Hospital, had been on duty for nearly 24 hours. After leaving instructions about his patient, he allowed himself the necessary luxury of some sleep. But when his alarm woke him at 7 a.m., and after examining Dana Trent, this quiet and controlled man became a raging tiger.
Nurse! Nurse!
Yes, Dr. Hobbs.
Where is Dr. Renzulli?
Well, he went out less than an hour ago. He left this for you.
What is it?
It's a note or a letter.
How come he was wakened before me?
Well, he only had the duty since 8 last night. He told us to wake him instead of you if necessary.
Is this a hospital or a fraternity house? Why should he take it upon himself to... Oh, wait a minute. I'm afraid you're right about Trent, but I don't want you sticking your neck out. I've gone to the old witch to try to change her mind. Wait till you hear from me. That damn young fool. There isn't any time to wait. We might lose a patient. All right, nurse, get on the pipe. I want Trent and 516 prepped right away. Alert OR.
Yes, sir.
Same orders as earlier this morning. If Dr. Renzulli doesn't get back within half an hour, I'm going ahead, permission or no permission. I'll need an assistant and a full abdominal team, and the best anesthesiologist you can dig up. Maybe you can still get me Gentry. You only lives a couple blocks away. But I'm serving notice. This is emergency. Capital E.
Well, do you have a clearance I can file with surgery, Doctor?
No, I don't. If I lose the patient, my neck's on the block. And if anyone wants a scalpel to cut it loose, he can have mine.
Yes?
Good morning. I'm Dr. Dominic Renzulli from Temple Hospital. I've been trying to reach you by phone, but it seems to be out of order.
Oh, my grandmother ordered it taken off the hook. I'm Olivia Trent. Is something wrong?
I'm gonna level with you, Miss Trent. There's a whole lot wrong. Could I see your grandmother? I hate to rush you, but time is of the essence.
It's about my father?
Yes.
Oh, please come in.
Thank you.
I'm afraid I can't disturb Grandma. When she got back from the hospital earlier this morning, I was afraid she was going to collapse, so I gave her a sedative and got her to bed.
Yeah. Now, I can't put it any way but right on the line, Miss Trent. It's your father's life. Now, my chief, a guy I think is the greatest surgeon in the world, is going to operate on your father without consent. And your grandmother is powerful enough to end his career if anything goes wrong. I don't want to take that chance.
I see. Did you bring the consent with you?
Well, sure.
Then give it to me and I'll sign it.
I appreciate that, Miss Trent, but you're not of age. I mean, legal age.
I am 18.
But your grandmother said you weren't.
Look, Grandmother does and says a lot of things to protect me. It's her way of life. I guess a person would only have to look at me to see how overprotected I am. Well, it's about time I did something on my own. So please let me sign the paper. It'll be quite legal.
Well...
Would you like to see a copy of my birth certificate?
No, it isn't that.
Are you scared about what Grandma's attitude will be?
I just don't want to get you or anyone in trouble. Your grandmother has already refused permission for the operation.
Because she wants my father to die.
But naturally you don't.
Oh, I guess this will sound terrible to you, but I don't care. He's made a pretty good job of wrecking all of our lives. But Mother asked me last night... Well, that's beside the point. What it is, I suppose, is whatever else he is a human being, isn't he? So where do I sign?
If you're sure that you know what you're doing.
I'm sure.
You ought to read it first.
It doesn't matter. She said to save a little love for him. And if that makes her happy, that's what I want.
Okay. Is there a table somewhere?
Oh, right here by the phone. Give me the pen.
Tom, where the hell are you? And don't keep me. I'm on my way to operate.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Well, I don't. If you can see the blood count and the rest of his vital signs, you
Simmer down, man. I just wanted to, you have my blessings and the family signature.
You mean you got that tough old dame to sign a release?
I didn't have to tilt that windmill. I have Miss Trent's signature.
Oh, but she's underage.
Fear not. I am sitting here gazing at a legal document I haven't seen since I did my tourist duty as an intern on the OB floor. A birth certificate. Olivia Pearson Trent is a doddering old crone of practically 19, and she signed the consent form, which I'm about to bring back to the hospital.
The lady killer, as my father used to say in another era.
See you at the shop.
Well, by the time you do, it'll all be over one way or the other. I'm on my way to the operating room right now.
May I ask what you're doing in my house, Dr.
Renzulli, Grandmother. And he came here to get permission to operate on Daddy.
And you gave it?
Yes. No matter what he's done, no amount of wrongs make a right.
Well, I suppose there's no way I really could have stopped it. But before you leave, Dr. Renzulli, I want you doctors to know what kind of man you're trying to save.
Mrs. Stanton,
No, you forced yourself into this. You'll stay until I shame the devil enough to tar you with the same brush.
Grandmother, please.
When one is as prominent socially as the Stantons are, and as wealthy, one needs constant protection.
Grandmother.
Quiet. Especially girls. I tried to protect Laura as carefully as I protect Olivia. But I failed.
You can't live other people's lives for them. They have to live their own.
Would you want me to have left you free to lead the life your mother led?
Maybe if she'd had more freedom of choice, she mightn't have ended up as she did.
Are you making me responsible for that?
No.
Mrs. Stanton, I really...
I'm not finished yet, young man. I had a very difficult time having Olivia's mother. I lost 3 children before she came, and I never could have any more after her. I was also not as young as I should have been, and she was premature. It was a very difficult time for me, particularly since within a year after I brought Laurie home, my husband died very suddenly. You see, Laurie never knew a father. I had to bring her up and protect her.
Grandmother.
Hush, child, hush. I want to get this said. There was a young man in my husband's organization named Dana Trent. He was my husband's secretary. He was a great deal of help through the years, I thought then, because of his regard for my husband. I would have advanced him in the business, but he lacked ambition, and I needed him for other things. He was a suitable escort for a widow, and Laura was crazy about him from the time she could walk and talk. I could never marry again after Court died, and I felt that he served rather well as a sort of surrogate father for Laura. Oh, he was a charmer with very winning ways and handsome, and I saw to it he had every luxury. I'm a very tough, smart woman, but about some things we can all be blind. And when Laura was 16, Mr. Dana Trent made his first repayment of my kindness and indulgence.
What? Laurie is going to have my child. It seemed appropriate for me to request her hand in marriage.
You unspeakable... Laura, is this true? Yes, Mother. How long
She's
have
in
you...
her 4th month. Too late to do anything about it, I assure you.
That's what you think. I'm going to have you arrested for statutory rape. You do, Mother, and I'll kill myself. I love Dana. I've always loved him. And I want to marry him. I want to have his child.
Just as I've always loved Laura. You know that.
Leave the room, Laura. It's no use.
It's all right, honey. Go ahead. Just leave this up to me.
Everything is up to you from now on. And for always, Dana. I love you. If I had a gun, Dana, I'd kill you.
No, you wouldn't. You know Laura's future depends on me. Her happiness. You wouldn't do anything to destroy that. So we shall be married, go to Europe, drop out of sight for a year or so, and then bring you back your grandchild. Oh, there may be a little talk, but that blows over soon enough. Now, shall we discuss income? I warn you, I shall expect it to be a rather large one.
It was a very large one. And they did bring my granddaughter back to me and abandoned her with me. Oh, I know it broke Laura's heart to leave her baby. But Dana had her spellbound. She was his slave, his, to do with as he wanted. I'd wanted love for my daughter, but not a sick love like this. For the next 10 years, he dragged her all over Europe. Scandal after scandal, women, drinking, gambling. Heaven knows what other filth he dragged her through. When I finally rushed to Paris to answer her cry for help, I could scarcely recognize the ghost that opened the door to let me in. Laura. Oh, good Lord. My poor baby. What happened to you? I lost my baby, Mommy. No, honey. Libby's alive and well. I almost brought her with me. Libby? Olivia. Your daughter. Oh. I lost my baby. This other one. Oh, you were pregnant again? Yes. Pregnant. Dana didn't want it. He made me... I went to a doctor. There isn't any more baby. I did it for him. Where is Dana? He left me because I had these things that happen. I'm not myself a lot of the time. Who is Laura? I don't remember. If I can't have Dana, I want my mommy. I want to go home. That's the man you want to save.
Your daughter never got a divorce?
No, because incredibly, even up to the last, she was in love with him. And besides, my mother was in hospitals and sanitariums until the beginning of this year. She came home for my 18th birthday. And so did Dana Trent. What was left of him. Do you know why, Doctor?
No, but, really, Mrs. Stanton, I must get back to...
I'm almost finished. Before my husband died, he'd settled a large trust fund on Libby. It came due on her 18th birthday. You gave the money to your mother, didn't you, Libby? Yes. It was mine. And Mother wanted to pay you back for supporting her all these years. I thought if it would make her happy. What she really wanted it for was to run away with your father again. It was found in the trunk of the car after the smash-up. You still want to save that scum, that filth?
Mrs. Stanton, I'm sympathetic, and I'm appalled, but doctors are not judges. Our only function is to save lives, good or bad.
Very well. I hope you fail, young man, because if you don't, I will not have my granddaughter put through the agony her mother has suffered. I'll find a way to take care of Dana Trent myself.
Both Dr. Dominic Renzulli and Libby look at this indomitable and tough old woman with some consternation in their eyes. She is just formidable enough to carry out her threat. Will she have the opportunity? And will she actually go through with it? I'll answer those questions when I return shortly with Act 3. There's an old piece of doggerel which runs, "The rain it raineth on the just, and also on the unjust fella, but chiefly on the just, because the unjust steals the just's umbrella." A truism that is altogether too apt, as in our story here. But unfair as the ways of the world may be, no one of us can set himself up as God and decide on the right of another to live or die. After closing the door on Dr. Renzulli, a weary and unhappy Libby crosses the hall toward the stairs, but is stopped by the imperative voice of her grandmother.
Olivia?
Yes, Grandmother?
Where are you going?
Upstairs to lie down. I don't feel very well.
I want to talk to you for just a moment. Please, dear.
Oh, all right. But not too long. There's been enough talking.
I know. I'm sorry I dragged up the awful past. It made me sick to my stomach, too. But I thought I hope...
You know you could never convince any doctor to allow a man to die when there's any possibility of saving
Oh,
it.
I know it consciously. But deep in my subconscious is buried such a hate. A terrible, consuming, driving hate against that man. I won't say his name. That I am willing him to die. And if God doesn't answer my prayer, then... Well... That's my business. No one else's. Libby, dear.
Yes, darling, what is it?
I want some reassurance from you.
Me? What can I offer?
About your mother. Oh, Libby, was it all my fault? Did I overprotect her, shield her too much from life? Smother her, drive her to run away from all my love to someone else?
No, you mustn't blame yourself. Mother made her own choices. But it is hard, Grandmother, to be hemmed in. Not to have freedom to move where you want, decide what you want.
Well, I suppose you plan to fly the nest, too.
I may. It's time for me to start finding out for myself what I'm all about.
So you do blame me for your mother?
That isn't true.
Oh, yes. Even for her death?
That certainly isn't true. And I could, well, sort of prove that.
How?
Because of what happened last night.
Oh, did you have a bad dream? I thought I heard you call out. What happened?
Well, I woke up suddenly, and I suddenly felt this cold chill. And you know how warm last night was, and I had my window wide open, and then, all of a sudden... Huh? What? Oh, damn that loose shutter.
It's all right, Libby. Don't bother about the window.
Mother, you came back.
Only for a moment, my darling. Just to say goodbye.
Where's Dad?
At the wheel. And
at the wheel. But I want to ask you, now that I finally see him for what he really is, save a little mourning for him. He can't help himself any more than I can.
Father!
What is it?
I can see right through you. The wall, the pictures, even the pattern of the paper.
That's because I'm already dead. I love you. And neither of us deserves to live. You see, I had to grab the wheel and kill us both because we were poisoning your life.
And then suddenly the chill was gone. And the wind disappeared. And the shutters stopped clattering. And it was warm again. But I know it wasn't a dream.
How?
Because I looked at the clock and it was exactly 10 minutes after 2. When did the police sergeant tell us he heard the crash?
That's right. 10 minutes after 2. So Laura came to her senses at last and tried to kill him.
She asked me to mourn a little for him.
Only as usual, he gets away with it. He doesn't have to be mourned because he escaped while Laura had to die.
Oh, Granny, please don't. I'll be all right when it's over. Oh, I'm very tired myself and sick to my heart. Granny, let's both go lie down. I'll help you upstairs.
Maybe I've lived enough years. It's time to rest.
Should I get a doctor?
Oh, no, Libby. I have no need of doctors. Huh? Just peace of mind.
Dr. Renzulli. Doctor?
Why, yes, Miss Trent. What is it?
Look, I've got to talk quickly. Somewhere more private, please.
Well, come on, I'll take you to Dr. Hobbs' office. What's wrong?
It's my grandmother. Have you seen her? Here, I mean.
No. Why?
Well, shortly after you left this morning, we both went to lie down. I couldn't sleep. I kept worrying because I'd remembered about the gun.
What gun?
Well, the one we kept in the chest of drawers in the upstairs hall. Grandmother always kept one there, loaded. Oh, you know, 3 women alone in a house with nothing but women servants should have protection, she said. Well, the gun is gone.
Oh. And you think your grandmother took it?
You heard what she said about taking things into her own hands.
Look, this is Dr. Hobbs' office. I'll put you in here while I...
Libby, what are you doing here?
Looking for you. Why are you here?
Well, I came to see Dr. Hobbs. His nurse told me that I'm too late. The operation has already begun, so I'm waiting.
Why?
Well, I have a vested interest in the result. Obviously, my future depends on it.
It may be rather a long wait, Mrs. Stanton. May I take your bag and put it somewhere?
No. I prefer to keep it myself.
I just thought you looked uncomfortable.
I am quite comfortable, thank you, Doctor. I'm accustomed to carrying a bag.
I just look kind of heavy.
It is.
Granny, let me have the bag.
Now, what is all this fuss about my bag? What for?
I want the gun you have in it.
What gun?
The one from the chest in the upstairs hall. The one that is missing.
Oh, so you noticed that too, eh?
What do you mean, too?
I did go for the gun. I had intended to use it, but it wasn't there.
Wasn't there?
That's right. Oh, don't look so disbelieving and scared. Here, take the bag and see for yourself. I'm quite unarmed and reasonably safe.
Well, then who took it?
I did a lot of thinking about that. And suddenly, remembering back to your, well, let's say your dream, I suddenly am quite sure it was Dana.
Why?
Because I don't think your mother went with him willingly. I think that's why... Well, we won't go into that in front of Dr. Renzulli. I think when we check with the sergeant, the gun will be found in the remains of the car. Funny. I'm a foolish, rigid woman who's made a lifetime of mistakes. But suddenly I realized how blind I've been, and my eyes were opened by my granddaughter.
Me?
Yes. Oh, poor Laura. I sheltered her, overprotected her, kept her from any freedom of choice, just as you said. But I won't make the same mistake again.
Oh,
Granny, do you have your own money, Libby? Your future is your own. I won't interfere anymore. I'll get out of your life. You'll be better off without me.
Granny?
Yes.
Just this. Hold me. Oh, I'm not letting you go. You see, I've made my choice. To stay with you.
Oh, but Libby, you...
I see everything so clearly now. I never had a mother or a father. But I had you. And I'll always have you. Oh, sure, someday there'll be a man for me. A man you'll help me pick. And there'll be children. And you're young enough to be here for once more around the clock. And this time it'll be all happiness you, me, and Mother ever missed. As for my father, let him come around. And we'll kick him out for good. Come on, Granny. Let's go home and start building a new life. No sense us sticking around. Would you please excuse us, Dr. Renzulli?
Of course. And, the best of luck.
We don't need it. We'll make our own.
So, that's the whole story, Mitch. And that's the ever-loving character you plucked from the jaws of death.
Well, I had no choice, Dom. But it's lucky she didn't decide to take the law into her own hands.
What do you mean?
Oh, the operation was a success as far as it went. I fixed up everything the car crash caused. But what 48 years of rough living have done to Dana Trent, no surgeon could fix. He has advanced cirrhosis of the liver and an extra quirk that nature, or maybe Providence, built in. An intrahepatic biliary obstruction.
Non-operable?
Non-operable. It's a safe bet he'll never leave this hospital alive.
The irony of fate, the justice of God, or just the mathematical certainty that if you roll the dice long enough, you've got to turn up snake eyes. If ever a man deserved death, it was Dana Trent. It's a pleasing thought to know that in the end, he made it for himself. From the Apocrypha in the Bible, and most probably the source of the piece of doggerel I quoted earlier, he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. This time the rain fell where I think we all would have wanted it to. And at least for once, evil found its own reward. Our cast included Mary Jane Higby, Rosemary Rice, Joan Lovejoy, Russell Horton, and Ian Martin. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams. Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Murder, we are told, will out. As will, I believe, truth. Which is to say that most murderers, though not all, are eventually exposed and made to pay for what is considered certainly the most heinous crimes of all, the taking of another's life. Such was the case with the charming, debonair, and totally amoral Greg Manchester, who felt sure he had committed the perfect murder, only to discover...
You're arresting me for murder? Lieutenant, you can't be serious.
I'm very serious, Mr. Manchester.
But on what grounds? Yes, I shot and killed my wife, but it was an accident.
No accident, Mr. Manchester. Cold-blooded murder. And we can prove it.
How can you prove murder when there was no murder? It was an accident, I tell you. I only wish to heaven there'd been a witness to prove what I say.
There was a witness, Greg. A witness who can prove it was murder.
Who, Sandy? Tell me who.
The corpse, Greg. The corpse.
Our mystery drama, The Eye of Death, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by George Lothar and stars Joan Hackett. It is sponsored in part by Sign-Off, the sinus medicines, and Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. I'll be back shortly with Act One. When it comes to murder, it sometimes seems to me that the cleverer a murderer, the more certain he is to be caught. For as the annals of crime reveal, he tends to outsmart himself. Dr. Crippen, Landru, George Joseph Smith, to mention but a few, all without exception flattered themselves on having committed perfect crimes, when in truth they had trapped themselves by overlooking one single minor little detail, as did a certain gentleman named Gregory Manchester. Listen.
Murder? You are accusing me, Sandy, of planning to murder your mother? Is that what you said?
Don't twist my words, Greg. I said it wouldn't surprise me if she had a fatal accident and died suddenly.
Oh, Sandy, don't even speak of such things. Just the thought makes my heart skip a beat.
I'm sorry, Rose. How is your heart?
Oh, same. Mother thinks I ought to see another doctor.
Sandy, I'm sorry you feel about me as you do. I hoped when I married your mother that you'd become as much my friend as your sister has. Why, if you could have heard me talking about you at my club, how proud I was going to be to have the famous photographer, Sandy Oakes, for a stepdaughter. Can't we be friends, Sandy?
Friends? Sorry, Greg, but your charm is wasted on me. You charmed my mother into marrying you, charmed her into turning over all of her money to you, charmed her into taking out a $100,000 life policy with you as a beneficiary,
Well, now, my dear, why not? After all, Sandy, I am her husband.
And a fast worker. Married less than a month. You certainly haven't wasted any time getting this marriage to pay off for you.
Oh, now you're accusing me of marrying your mother for her money. Is that it, my dear?
You can believe it.
Oh, now, Sandy.
Rose, it's true, and I'm telling you straight out. This clothes horse with his blonde hair and his Sir Walter Raleigh manners is nothing more than a sharp operator. A con artist. And that's what I've come here to tell my mother, and I will tell her if she ever gets out of that bath and comes down here.
Sandy, you're all upset.
Upset? I'm steaming, and I've been steaming ever since I heard about this new life insurance policy. When Mother phoned and said that she'd just taken out a $100,000 policy with dear Greggy as a beneficiary, I could have... Oh, what is that?
What? Oh, it's a stain on the ceiling. It's a water stain.
The bathroom is just above us here.
Oh, now, don't tell me the tub's overflowed.
What?
If your mother's had another of her fainting spells in the bath, you better get up there. Come on.
What fainting spells? Mother's never had a fainting spell in her
Oh, no,
life.
you're wrong there, Sandy. She never told you, but she's had a number of them. Sudden blackouts since your father died. The shock of his death, I don't know. And she's had two since we married a month ago. God grant she hasn't had another. Not while taking it. Oh, here we are. Oh, no.
Mother! He killed her, Joe. He killed her.
Now, sweetheart...
Joe, he did. He drowned her in that tub. All of that talk about sudden fainting spells, blackouts. No way, Joe. No way.
Now, look, my dear, lovable bride-to-be, I don't like Gregory Manchester any more than you do, and I couldn't agree more that he's the phony you claim he is, but
You're no fool, Sandy. A camera nut, maybe, with that camera of yours always slung around your neck, but you...
Joe, photography is my business, and I don't know how many pictures I'd have missed if I didn't keep this high-powered Instamat ready at all times, and really, I don't know why it bothers you.
Well, it's nothing. Oh, excuse me. Yes? Yes, have them come right in. Manchester and your sister.
I'm going to try to get Rose to move in with me now that Mother's gone.
Come in, Rose. Mr. Manchester.
Thank you. Hello, Sandy.
Hello. How are you feeling, Rose?
Oh, all right.
I want to talk with you privately after the reading of Mother's will.
What about, Sandy?
Later, dear.
Well, we're all here, so I'll get started. I, Geraldine Oakes Manchester, a resident of the city of...
Wait a minute, Joe.
Yes?
Geraldine Oakes Manchester?
Your mother made a new will after she married Mr. Manchester, didn't she tell you?
No.
Well, she told me she was going to.
She didn't. I'm sure I know why.
Another slap at me, Sandy. Are you implying I changed her mind about telling you?
If the shoe fits, Greg?
Now, hold it, please. We're here for the reading of a will, and I suggest we get on with it. I, Geraldine Oakes Manchester, a resident of this city... Lastly, I hereby revoke all former wills and codicils to wills heretofore by me made. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and seal this 10th day of October, signed Geraldine Oakes Manchester, and witnessed, etc., etc., etc. Well, Mr. Manchester, you've inherited quite a fortune.
Plus $100,000 in insurance. While Rose gets nothing, nor do I.
Well, as your mother stated in her will, Sandy, she trusted me. Implicitly trusted me to see that Rose was well cared for. And you?
I don't need Mother's money, but Rose...
Oh, Sandy, you can trust Greg. Mother did. I do.
I know you do, Rose. You trust everyone. You always have.
Possibly because she hasn't let the world make her as cynical as it has made you.
Oh, now, just a minute, Mr. Manchester.
I can take care of myself, Joe. More important, I can take care of Rose, and I mean to.
But, Sandy, I'm going to be all right. Greg will...
Leave you to starve if I know Greg, but he isn't going to because I'm not going to let him. I'm going to break this will.
Sandy...
I mean it, Joe. He conned Mother and he fleeced her. Well, you're not going to get away with it, Greg. I'll break this will if it's the last thing that I do.
And may I ask exactly how, my dear?
By proving you murdered my mother and meant to murder her from the start.
Have some more shrimp Creole, Florence?
Oh, Greg, darling, I couldn't. I simply couldn't. You know I'm on a diet.
Oh, nonsense. This is no time to stay on a diet. In the first place, it's Mardi Gras week. In the second, I brought you to the finest restaurant in New Orleans.
Oh, you dear, delightful man.
And in the third place, why anyone with your figure feels the need to diet, that baffles me utterly.
Oh, you are a dear and delightful man. Greg Manchester, you are almost as... No, I'll say it. You are as dear and delightful as my late husband. Oh, Greg, I'm so glad we met. So glad.
Well, so am I, Florence. You know, only a week ago, I was the loneliest man on earth.
Oh.
Lonely in the way only the bereaved can be lonely. Even though it's months since Geraldine passed on, I thought I would never get over her loss. And then, my dearest. You don't mind if I call you my dearest?
Of course not.
Well, I met you, and life became worth living again.
Oh, Greg, do you know that's exactly the way I felt? Feel?
I thought as much. We've known each other only a week, my dear, but what a week it has been.
Oh, yes.
And for my part, Florence, You won't be offended.
No.
Well, for my part, you're the woman I've been looking for since my own dear Geraldine passed on.
Oh...
The woman I felt sure I would never find.
Oh, Greg. Greg, you dear man.
Then you're not offended.
Offended?
It wouldn't be if I...
If you what, darling?
If I asked you to become my wife.
Oh.
Oh, dear, I have offended you.
No.
No. Oh, you've made me so happy. I think I'm going to cry. In fact, I know I am. Greg, what? Is something wrong?
No. But excuse me a moment, Florence. I'll be right back. Well, Sandy Oaks, girl photographer, camera and all.
Greg Manchester, con artist and murderer, next victim and all.
What are you doing in New Orleans?
Mardi Gras week. I'm covering it for Cosmopolite.
You're lying. You found out I was living in New Orleans. You followed me here.
Care to see my press credentials?
If Cosmopolite sent you, you asked for the assignment.
How right you are.
Now you listen to me. Any more trouble from you, and I'll make you know what trouble really is.
Trouble? What makes you think I'm out to give you trouble, Greg?
Because you followed me here, because I suddenly spotted you snapping a picture of me and Mrs. Chapman.
I took more than one before you noticed me, Greg. They may come in handy.
I don't see how.
Well, then, look over there, Greg. See that sign?
The one that reads Mardi Gras Week?
Exactly. From that angle, I caught not only you and Mrs. Chapman, but that sign hanging behind you on the wall.
So what?
The time element, Greg, and the place. I can hear a district attorney saying to you at your trial for murder, quote, "You did know the widow, Mrs. Florence Chapman, as early as Mardi Gras week, didn't you? In New Orleans, wasn't it?" Unquote.
My murder trial.
You are going to kill her, aren't you? For her money? After you marry her? Tell me, does she have any children you can leave penniless as you did my sister Rose?
She went to live with you. You're very successful, plenty of dough. You take care of her.
I am. I'm also going to take care of you.
Now, Sandy, I warn you.
Cool it, con man. I am not my mother that you're talking to now, nor my sister Rose, or that lovely victim of yours over there. A photographer gets around. You think you're the cleverest thing that ever happened. You are. But, Buster, it's your cleverness that's going to put you behind bars, because somewhere, somehow, you're going to think you're so clever that you'll make one little mistake, one fatal little mistake, and when you do, I'm going to be there.
Be smart, eh? Get out of my life and stay out of my...
Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but, Greg, dear, won't you introduce me to that very attractive friend here? Well, dearest?
Yes, of course. Sandy Oaks, my stepdaughter.
Oh, you're not the daughter of that poor woman who
drowned accidentally. Yes, Mrs. Chapman, I am.
You know my... Oh, Greg told you.
No, I've been watching you and Mr. Manchester ever since he met you a week ago.
Watching? Greg, darling, what does she mean?
Oh, never mind, Florence. She's a troublemaker. She tried to stop me from marrying her mother.
I tried to stop you from murdering my mother.
Oh, gracious, such talk. You're in a restaurant.
Mrs. Chapman, let me give you a tip. A tip that will save your life. Say goodbye right now to this charming, well-dressed murderer. Say goodbye and go on living.
Well, Greg, I believe you're right. This girl, well, I don't know what she is, but she is. I'm sorry I came over. I'll wait for you at our table.
Yes, of course, Florence. Well, do you see?
She's as naive and as trusting as my mother. And my sister. Or others you've murdered.
Oh, so it's others now. Look, Sandy, you said I'm clever. Well, I am clever. A hell of a lot cleverer than you are, doll. And I guess the only way to get you off my neck is to prove it.
And just how will you do that?
The only way I know. Murder.
Don't get me all choked up. I know you. I'm ready for anything you try. Murder me? You don't have much of a chance, Mr. Manchester.
Oh, murder you. No, not you.
Who then?
Your sister Rose, whom you love so much. Who else?
Inevitably, it had to come to this. The challenge. The squaring off. The gauntlet flung down between a cold-blooded murderer and a self-sufficient girl like Sandy Oakes, who's been around. Is she right? Will Greg Manchester make that one fatal mistake she says he will? Perhaps we'll find out when I return for Act 2. Much has been written on the psychology of murder and murderers. And although experts disagree, when have experts ever done anything else, there seems little question that the common motive for murder is personal gain. In any case, assuredly, that's what it is with Greg Manchester, who, you might say, marries for murder. But now Sandy Oakes, veteran freelance photographer, has set out to prove that Manchester murdered her mother, even as Manchester threatens that if she doesn't leave him alone, he will kill her invalid sister, Rose.
Sandy, your mother drowned in her bath after suffering a blackout.
My mother never had a blackout, a fainting spell in her life. Manchester spread that story to cover himself.
Yeah, but you can't prove it. And until you can, I'm warning you, drop it.
I'm not afraid of a suit for libel or slander, if that's what you mean.
What I mean is, I'm afraid for your life, if what you say is true.
It's Rose's life I'm worried about. If anything happened to me, she'd be alone and penniless.
You don't ever have to worry about Rose while I'm around. You know that.
Of course not. But, good Lord, I didn't realize it was this late. I've got to rush.
What? Just when I was about to invite you to lunch?
I'm sorry, darling, but I'm due at the Metropolitan Photographic Exhibit in half an hour. I promised to advise the committee on how to hang the prize exhibits.
Oh, including one of yours. Which reminds me, I owe you an apology.
An apology because I won a prize?
Well, I'm always kidding you about carrying that fancy camera of yours, but if you hadn't had it with you and shot from the hip that day, you'd never have caught that picture of an old man being mugged.
And the muggers. Oh, the cops nailed them because of what I photographed. Which reminds me, I've got to see Lieutenant McCoy at headquarters after the photo exhibit.
What for?
The information I dug up in New Orleans about Greg Manchester. Now, it may not mean anything to you, darling, but I'm hoping it will mean plenty to Lieutenant McCoy.
It means nothing to me, Sandy, nothing at all.
But, Mac...
Sandy, I checked it out. Yeah, sure, Manchester was married before he met your mother. And sure, his wife died of an overdose of sleeping pills, but the coroner's verdict was death by accident.
Oh, Mac, you put me away. You really do.
I don't get you.
His wife dies of an overdose of sleeping pills, and he inherits over $50,000. He marries my mother. She dies by drowning. He inherits every cent she has, plus an insurance of $100,000, taken out less than a month before. 2 deaths, 2 so-called accidents, and Greg Manchester hits the financial jackpot. That doesn't strike you as fishy?
Oh, yes, but
Now he's going to marry this other wealthy widow, Florence Chapman, less than 3 months after my mother dies.
Sandy...
Oh, and he threatens to kill my sister Rose if I don't lay off. And you sit there and you tell me that you don't think that Manchester is a cold-blooded murderer?
No, I didn't say that. I said he's clean, Sandy. As a cop, I got to play it by the book, the rules of evidence. Maybe Manchester did kill your mother and his previous wife, but I haven't got a shred of evidence to prove he did, and neither of you. Well, have you?
No, but I'm going to get it. Sooner or later, Manchester is going to make one slip. One little slip, and I'm going to be there when he does.
Taking pictures of him as he does, I'll bet.
It isn't funny, Mac.
No, I'm just cracking wise about you and your trusty companion, that camera.
Laugh. But it caught you a couple of muggers, and Mac, it may catch me a murderer. There's a bench, Rose. Want to sit for a while?
Oh, no, Sandy, no. I'm too excited to sit still.
You're too excited, period.
Oh, I'll be all right. Oh, it's such a thrill for me just to get out of that apartment. But on top of that, these wonderful pictures. Holzman, Eisenstadt, Kepler, and you.
That's what I call really sisterly love. Putting me in that class.
Oh, you won a first prize.
Yes, but in photojournalism, and there's nothing arty about my stuff.
A first prize is a first prize, and I'm not going to argue.
Rose?
Sandy, maybe I'd better sit down for a minute or two.
Yes, right there. How bad is it?
It's not bad. But Sandy, would you open my bag and take out the bottle of nitro pills?
Yeah, just a sec. Here, wait a moment now. Here we are. Here. Stay here. I'll get you a cup of water. Excuse me, please. Excuse me. I just want to get through to the water cooler.
We're here. Let me help you.
Thank you. You?
Yes, me.
What are you doing here, Greg?
Mrs. Manchester wanted to see the exhibits.
She married you then?
And I wanted to see you. Figured you'd be here, so
I've got no time for you now. I've got to get a cup of water for my sister.
Well, here's the cup. There's the water. I want a word with you, Sandy, about...
Would you get out of my way? Excuse me, please. Excuse me. Rose, dear, here you are.
Oh, thank you, Sandy. Thank you.
Are you better?
Yes. Much.
I think that we'd better go.
Sandy, I haven't seen everything yet.
Your heart.
Oh, drat my heart. My first day out of the apartment in weeks. I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to see everything there is to see. Oh, look who's here.
Hello, Rose.
How are you, Greg?
Never better. You?
Pretty well. Thank you.
I meant to call on you when I got back from New Orleans, but I felt your sister wouldn't approve.
You're right, Greg. Her sister wouldn't.
Now you too.
Oh, it's all right, Rose. All right. Sandy and I aren't going to have a scene. I only want to say hello. So, if you'll excuse me, I'll rejoin my wife. Goodbye, Rose. Goodbye, Sandy. Oh, give my regards to Lieutenant McCoy next time you see him, will you?
Lieutenant McCoy?
The police lieutenant you went to see this morning. About a certain little matter.
How do you know that I want to see McCoy? And what I want to see him about?
Oh, does it matter? I know. And I think it was very foolish of you, Sandy.
Do you?
Oh, yes, very. In fact, as I intimated to you in New Orleans, it could even be dangerous. Deadly dangerous. Not for you. Not immediately for you. Well, goodbye for now.
Sandy, what was that all about?
Nothing, Rose. Nothing.
What did Greg mean? It could be deadly dangerous.
It's nothing for you to worry about, Rose.
Well, all right, if you say so. Funny, though.
What?
I'm worried somehow. Suddenly, I'm very worried. Joe. Oh, nice to see you. Come in.
How are you, Rose?
Oh, I'm fine.
Now, no fibs to your brother-in-law-to-be.
What?
I talked to Sandy on the phone. She said your heart gave you a little trouble at the photography exhibition this afternoon.
Oh, nothing my nitro pills couldn't handle, and did.
Oh, good. Where's Sandy?
3 guesses.
The dark room.
Give the man a cigar. Or would you rather have a drink?
A drink, and I'll make it. Sandy said you ran into Greg Manchester at the exhibition.
Yes. I'm worried, Joe.
About what?
Greg said a funny thing to Sandy. It seems he heard somehow she'd gone to see Police Lieutenant McCoy. McCoy, about something. He didn't say what. And Sandy wouldn't tell me, but anyhow, he said he thought she was very foolish to do anything like that. And that it could be deadly dangerous. Those were the words he used. Deadly dangerous.
I see.
Sandy didn't tell you?
No, she didn't.
But not for her. That was the funny part of what he said. Not deadly dangerous for her. Not immediately.
Rose, what is it?
Heart pain, chest.
Your nitroglycerin pills.
They...
Sandy!
What is it? Oh, no.
Where are pills?
Bedroom. I'll get them.
Rose, now, let me get you to the couch. Lay you down here. There. Cushion behind your head. Sandy, hurry it!
Yes, here. Here, Rose, open your mouth. That's it. Water, Joe?
Yeah.
Hurry, Joe.
Here you are.
All right now, honey. Swallow the pills. Swallow it, dear. That's it. That's it. Okay. All right? Sure to be all right in a moment or two. Rose? Rose, dear? Is it having any effect? Oh, Rose, is the pain letting up? Rose? Rose? Joe! Joe,
Here, let me...
Joe?
She's gone, Sandy.
Oh, no. No.
Afraid so, sweetheart.
He's done it. He threatened he would, and he has.
Greg Manchester?
He said he'd kill her if I didn't lay off, and I didn't, and he has. Thank you, Mac. Goodbye.
What'd he say, McCoy?
The toxicology lab tested the pills Rose took. That I gave her.
Oh, Sandy. All right, come on now, honey.
The pills. They found that they were triple strength. Triple the amount of nitroglycerin prescribed for Rose.
That's impossible. No pharmacist would make a mistake like that.
The pharmacist didn't. They got him out of bed and they met him at his place and checked his records. He made no mistake.
Well, then how... Sandy, how?
Greg!
Sandy.
Don't ask me how he did it. He got into the apartment maybe while we were out. Rose and I didn't change the bottles. I don't know. It doesn't matter. All that matters to me is that he did it. And I know in my bones I know that he did it. He murdered the woman he was married to before he married my mother. He killed my mother. He killed Rose. He'll kill Florence Chapman. He'll kill me. Unless I stop him. He's got to be stopped, Joe. Stopped and put behind bars like any other animal. And that's where I'm going to put him. With God's help, Joe, that's where I'll put him for the rest of his life.
Brave words. Words spoken under the pressure of emotion. Well, I think I can tell you at this point that Sandy did put Greg Manchester behind bars for the rest of his life when he made that one fatal slip. I was about to say that he overlooked something. But the fact is, he never saw it. But Sandy did. Or, to be more precise, her camera did. I'll return in a moment for Act 3. You will recall my saying earlier that the cleverer the murderer, the more likely he is to make one fatal slip. Something so minor, he never thought of it, never noticed it. What slip will Greg Manchester make? So far, he's got away with his killings. Sandy Oaks doesn't know where Greg Manchester will make that fatal slip, or when, or more particularly, how. But make it, she knows he will. And as I've told you, make it he did. The question is, what insignificant but very final mistake did he make?
You dare show your face here?
I came here to this funeral home to see Rose for the last time. I am her stepfather, Sandy, and have the right.
Murderer.
Sandy.
Get him out of here, Joe.
There's no need, Joe. I'm going. May I have a word with you outside?
Of course. Sandy, pull yourself together. Well?
Joe, you're a lawyer. Would you give me some advice? What am I to do with her? She hates me. Has hated me from the moment we met. I don't know why. Chemistry, I suppose.
Not much I can say to that, Greg, except you're a liar.
I beg your pardon?
You're a liar. It isn't chemistry between you and Sandy.
It's Sandy's awareness, her awareness from the first, her trained awareness, because she's photographed so many people, that you're a phony. I agreed with her about that after only short acquaintance with you, Greg, but I didn't agree with her that you're a murderer. I agree now.
You can't mean... You think I murdered Geraldine?
I think you murdered Geraldine and Rose. I think you murdered another woman. In fact, probably other women.
You can stand there and to my face say...
Say it because it's obvious. There's such a thing as coincidence, Greg. But your history, your married history, goes beyond coincidence.
Then you are calling me a murderer.
I thought I'd made that plain. You're skating on thin ice now, and you're going to go through it. And when you do, you're going to find the water bitter cold, Greg. Bitter cold.
Won't you sit down, Miss Oakes?
Thank you, Mrs. Manchester.
Let me say, I only agreed to see you when you phoned and said you wanted to talk with me alone. I only agreed because you are his stepdaughter.
Mrs. Manchester, I wanted to see you because someone should warn you. Greg Manchester is a murderer.
What are you saying?
He murdered my mother. He murdered my sister Rose. He murdered the woman he was married to before he met my mother. He's going to murder you.
My dear, do you realize the gravity of this accusation?
The important thing is that you realize
What I realize is that you are a bitter and malicious young woman who, for some reason, I am totally unable to understand, wants to malign a man who has never done anything but good for you.
Good? What do you mean?
Your mother left him all her money, didn't she?
Yes.
He was also the beneficiary of her life insurance, wasn't he?
Yes.
And all of this, the fortune he might have had, he turned over to you and your sister. Is that not so?
It certainly is not so.
Greg told me.
Then he lied. He tricked my mother into giving him control of her money, power of attorney, and all of that, and then taking out a $100,000 life insurance policy, and then he killed her.
Can you prove that?
No. I can't, not yet. But whether I can or not, I think what you should keep in mind is that at least 2 previous wives have died suddenly and mysteriously after giving him control of their money. Have you?
Why, yes, I have. Oh, but I can't believe this. I won't believe it. My husband is one of the most dear and delightful men I've ever met.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you for your trust in me.
Greg, we didn't hear you come in.
Well, I'm glad you didn't. Otherwise, I'd not have overheard my stepdaughter's accusations. Sandy, I must ask you to leave. And please, don't come back.
Goodbye, Mrs. Manchester. And good luck.
Well, I hope that's the last we see of her. I'm sure you didn't believe the lies she must have told about me.
Why, no, of course not, Greg.
You don't sound altogether sure, Florence.
Why, yes, I am. Only, Greg, you told me you had handed all your former wife's fortune over to her daughters.
No.
What?
Well, you misunderstood me. I said that I intended to do it. But I haven't had time to get around to it yet. It's quite involved, you know. Certain legalities which take time and... You don't believe me, do you?
No, I do. Only I'm certain you said you had already given them the money.
No, you're mistaken, my dear.
Greg?
Yes?
That power of attorney I signed the other day...
Yes?
Don't be offended, dear, but just as a matter of interest, does it give you control over my money?
Now, that's an odd question, Florence.
Does it, Greg?
Well, the power of attorney is just that. It empowers me to act in your behalf.
In other words, you can sign checks, withdraw money from my account, that sort of thing?
Yes, that sort of thing.
I see.
No. I don't think you do. For instance, you don't see that you have just signed your death warrant.
Death warrant?
I want you to go into your bedroom, start packing.
Packing?
You're going to visit your sister in New Orleans. Midnight. Make the call, Florence. Make it or I'll shoot you right now.
Hello?
Miss Oakes, this is Mrs. Manchester.
Yes?
I've got to see you right away. Could you come here to my apartment?
My fiancé and I were just about...
It's urgent, Miss Oakes. Dreadfully urgent. Please come.
Of course, all right. We'll be there as soon as we can make it.
Oh, thank you. Goodbye.
She's coming right over?
Yes. Greg, please don't kill me.
I'm sorry, Florence.
I'll give you my money.
I've already got it.
Then why kill me?
Pleasure, my dear. Simple pleasure. I find a certain thrill in murdering someone, especially silly women like you. When Sandy pushes that door buzzer, listen to it carefully, Florence. It'll be the last sound you hear in this life.
Greg!
All right. I must snap off the lights here in the bedroom. Oh, good. I'm coming. Oh, help me. We heard a shot. What? Yeah, in the bedroom. I just shot a prowler.
Pitch dark in here. The light switch.
Oh, yeah, here. Oh, good Lord.
Florence Manchester.
What? Oh, no. Oh, no. Sandy, for the love of... This is no time for snapping pictures.
I wasn't even aware I was...
Get to the phone. Call the police. And put that damn camera away.
Yes, okay.
Oh, I thought Florence was a prowler. I lost my head. I fired into the dark room.
Headquarters? Give me Lieutenant McCoy. Is he there? Yeah, hurry.
Sandy, please.
Look at it, Joe. Look at it and tell me, what do you see?
I see the body of Florence Manchester lying on her bedroom floor. I have seen the body of Florence Manchester lying on her bedroom floor for over a month now, in blow-up after blow-up after blow-up of the pictures you snapped that night. This blow-up, good Lord, Sandy, it's the biggest yet. Why?
Because these pictures prove Greg murdered Florence, that's why.
You keep saying that, but you don't tell me what proof.
Because... I don't know. Because it's staring at me in the face and I can't see it. Joe, look at it, please. Just look at it. Look.
No.
Joe, just look.
I've had it, Sandy. All right. Maybe, like you say, Greg's story of what happened was so much eyewash. Maybe Florence didn't leave to visit her sister in New Orleans. Maybe she didn't come back unexpectedly while he was asleep in his bedroom. Maybe he didn't hear a noise in her bedroom, think it was a prowler, panic, and shoot into the darkened bedroom. Eyewash. All eyewash. But don't... What is it?
Eyewash. Give me that blow-up.
Ooh, with pleasure.
That's it, Joe. That's it.
What's what?
The proof...
Manchester, you've been booked on a charge of murder. The murder of your wife, Florence.
Now, look here,
Take it easy. Thanks to your stepdaughter, Sandy Oakes, here, we have positive proof that you deliberately and with malice aforethought shot Florence Manchester to death.
What proof? I told you she packed her bag. You saw it in the bedroom and left to visit her sister in New Orleans.
But had come back unexpectedly, according to your story.
And I fired a shot into her pitch-black bedroom, thinking she was a prowler. That's what happened. That's the truth.
No, it's a lie. This photograph of your wife's body, Sandy took it within a minute or two after the shot was fired.
So?
Look at it, Manchester. Look especially at the eyes. The eyes that are open and staring at the ceiling. What do you see?
Her eyes. What else am I supposed to see?
The size of her pupils. Look at the pupils of her eyes. Tell me what you see.
I see the pupils of her eyes.
Contracted. Contracted to the size of a pinhead. The human eye is like a camera, like that Instamax Sandy always carries. The darker an object or a place, the wider the pupil of the eye expands. The brighter an object or a place, such as your wife's bedroom, the narrower the pupil becomes, contracts. What's more, Manchester, when a person is killed instantly, as your wife was, the pupil remains unchanged for 2 to 3 minutes.
You're saying it.
The photo says it, not me. You stated that you fired that shot into a dark bedroom, killing your wife by accident. Her eyes, contracted to pinhead size, prove that she died in a lighted room, a brightly lighted room. If you have anything to say, make it in the form of a confession, won't you? On second thought, I'm not sure we need bother. It's all on film, Manchester.
A picture, they say, is worth 1,000 words. And so it would seem that Lieutenant McCoy is right. No words of Manchester's in his defense could possibly disprove the truth of his wife's dead, accusing eyes. I'll be back shortly. Gregory Manchester is no longer a name, but a number at State's Prison. Sandy's name has changed, too. From Miss Sandy Oakes to Mrs. Joseph Norman. Hasn't changed her habit of carrying that camera wherever she goes, however. But she seems to use it more and more these days, snapping pictures of a baby named Joe Jr. Our cast included Joan Hackett, Ralph Bell, Robert Dryden, and Joan Shea. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
Mrs. Tipton, it's really hard to see where I'd fit in. I'm a trained social worker. That's how I make my living. At least, that was how I made my living. I was discharged 6 months ago. They were cutting down, and... Well, I haven't been able to find anything in my field, and I'm running short of money, so I'm willing to take almost any kind of job if it's respectable.
Look, I'm not going to ask you to do anything you wouldn't ordinarily do.
Well, do you need a secretary, something like that? I think I could manage that, maybe. Or be a companion.
Oh, I don't want a secretary or a companion. Why would I? I never do anything, and I prefer being alone.
Well... What is it that you do want?
I want somebody to live for me.
To live for you?
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, Brewers of Budweiser, and Sign-Off, the sinus medicines. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time... Pleasant dreams.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. I'm sure you know by now that the door you have just entered leads to a strange world, a land of forbidden fancies, peopled by giants and pygmies, kings and cobblers, saints and sinners. Happy children play in its streets, while just behind lurk iniquitous monsters. Unspeakable crimes are committed here, and acts of breathtaking valor. You are the sovereign in this place. It is the realm of your own imagination. Our story this time searches one of its deep recesses, The Hidden Place of Fear. Our mystery drama, Death Pays No Dividend, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Mary Jane Higby and stars Anne Shepard and Guy Sorrell. It is sponsored in part by imported Vigna Rosé wine and Buick Motor Division. I'll be back shortly with Act One. A famous traveler once said that the most important words in any language are, where is the exit? Où est la sortie? Donde está la salida? But what of the place where there is no way out, where every wall is a blank one, marked no exit? This is the circumstance of three men whose work brings them to the tip of a very small island. There was once a stockade here. It was the wall for which the street was named. Wall Street is silent now. The rush of the day has not yet descended. But 30 stories above the narrow street, footsteps echo sharply along a marble corridor.
Miss Hannigan! Miss Hannigan, wait!
Oh, Mr. Green. Good morning.
I didn't expect you here this hour in the morning.
Mr. Green, I've been so worried.
About getting another job? Well, I'm sure we can help you. Our recommendation should be worth something in spite of...
No, not about myself. It's Mr. Ellis.
Oh?
He's horribly depressed.
Well, that's only to be expected. You put your whole life into a business, and then through no fault of your own, it suddenly blows up in your face.
No, wait. Please. Don't open the office door yet. I've got to tell you something.
Well, couldn't you tell me inside?
No, I think Mr. Ellis may be inside there. I do hope so. He's not in his apartment. He worked late last night, cleaning out the desk and making the last arrangements.
It's like a funeral.
Oh, it's worse than a funeral for Mr. Ellis. He's not like you and Mr. Folger. You both have families, someone to share.
Well, it's small comfort to share disgrace with people you love, to drag them down with you. My two boys.
I know. I didn't mean to minimize. It's just that, well, frankly, I'm afraid Mr. Ellis is going to do away with himself.
Kill himself? Oh, no, he wouldn't do that.
He made me go home last night. I wanted to stay with him, but he forced me to leave. I tried nearly all night to get him by phone. No answer.
Well, let's get in and see what's going on.
Oh, good heavens. Papers blowing all over the place.
Oh, the draft.
The wind... Mr. Green, look. Standing on the ledge to the left of the window.
Good Lord. Careful, Miss Hannigan. Mustn't startle him. He might jump. You better speak to him, but quietly.
Yes.
Try to sound calm.
Mr. Ellis, don't do it. Mr. Ellis, please don't. Mr. Ellis, he doesn't seem to hear me.
He hears you all right. Try again.
Come back in, please. You may hurt somebody else if you... Mr. Ellis, listen to me. Come back. You mustn't do this. Please. It's no use.
I'll try. Victor, don't do it. Listen to me. What I'm going to say is important. There's a better way. Did you hear me? There's a better way. John and I have a plan. You may be doing the right thing, Vic, but you're doing it the wrong way. Victor, get back in here.
He moved.
He's coming in.
Yes.
When he gets his head to the window, grab his arm.
Oh, if only he doesn't fall now.
Damn narrow ledge.
Oh, dear Lord, don't let him fall. Don't let him.
Oh, there you are, Victor. Steady, old man.
Come, Mr. Ellis.
Let me go. All right. Sit down.
Thank God.
Close the window, Miss Hannigan.
I looked down. I could have done it if I hadn't looked down. I fouled this up like everything else. I can't do anything right.
Oh, don't say that. Nothing that happened was your fault. You were all victims of a rotten crook.
I didn't have the guts to jump. Just didn't have the guts.
Thank heaven you didn't. You must never try a thing like that again. Never.
All right.
It's a sin.
It's all right now, Miss Hannigan.
Yes. Yes, it's all right now. I'd never forgive myself.
Now. Calm down. Good morning. What's going on? What's with Miss Hannigan?
She's had a bad shock.
What happened?
Later, John. Please, Miss Hannigan.
I'm so scared. It's helpless. I'd never forgive myself.
Look, come on now. Snap out of it. Miss Hannigan.
She's been under a terrible strain.
I'm sorry. My nerves.
Yes, of course. Victor, get us some water, will you? Oh, sure. I'll be a moment. I've got to talk to you alone, John.
Okay. Come in my office.
Are you sure you're all right now, Miss Hannigan?
I'm sorry I let go like that. It won't happen again.
All right. Relax. Try to go on as though nothing had happened. Here's the water. I didn't mean to put you through this. You, of all people. Come on, John.
I think we should let Miss Hannigan go home.
No, that won't be necessary, Mr. Folger. I'm all right.
Kent? Yes? What did you mean? There's a better way. We'll talk about it later.
Now, what was going on?
Victor tried to jump out of the window.
What?
He was standing on the ledge when we got here this morning.
Oh, for Pete's sake. That idiot. How long was he out there? Did he draw a crowd?
No. Well, I suppose somebody must have seen him, though.
That fool.
Well, this settles it, John. We've got to let him in on the scheme.
No. Vic's too unstable. He's sure to blow it.
It's the only way to keep him from blowing it. It's obvious. If word gets around that a member of the firm tried to commit suicide and then something happened to us, they'd never stop the investigation.
Not until our families were starving. Damn it all, that's not going to happen. I'm going to meet my obligation to Marie.
We both have obligations, John.
I'm not going to leave my wife helpless. I'm going to provide for her if it's the last thing I do.
It will be. Look, you don't understand, Victor. His father founded this firm, and it's been Victor's whole life a sort of memorial to his father. Well, now this scandal... Well, the mood he's in, he's apt to do anything. The only way to protect the scheme is to let him in on it.
Oh, you're probably right. But all my instincts are against it.
Well, shall I get him in here?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, I'll get him. But if he louses this up... Vic?
Yes?
Come in here a minute, will you?
Yes?
What is it?
Close the door. You made a jackass of yourself, didn't you?
Cool it, John. Now, if you've got some cockeyed scheme to keep the scandal from breaking, don't waste my time. We'll be lucky if we get less than 20 years.
Oh, come on. Drop the emotional jag and talk sense. Kent and I are in a worse spot than you are. We both have families to provide for, right? And there is just one way to do it. Our life insurance.
You can't collect on suicide.
We know that. But you can collect on murder.
What? I don't get it.
A good, clean bullet in the back of the head when you're least expecting it.
It's an easy way to go, Vic. You'd never know what hit you.
Well, how do you think you're going to bring that off? Never mind. I can bring it off. Years ago, I did a favor for somebody. I didn't know him too well, but I used to drop into his place once in a while for, well, never mind what for. Later, he got mixed up with some pretty notorious characters, so I figured he'd be in a position to arrange what they call a contract.
What kind of contract?
Oh, for Pete's sake, I know you've devoted your whole life to the firm, but don't you ever go to the movies?
You must know there's such a thing as a hired killer. Oh, that kind of contract?
Yes, that kind. So, we have 2 contracts right now. Now, do you want to make a third?
You mean pay somebody to kill me?
Yeah, $3,000.
Well, now, I don't know.
It makes a great deal more sense than what you just tried to do.
No pain.
No mess. These guys are professionals.
Well, it's a tough idea to get used to. How do I go about it?
One quick phone call and $3,000 in cash.
Well, maybe you ought to take a few hours to think it over. Well, I've tried 3 times to kill myself. I haven't the nerve. Okay, go ahead. Make your phone call.
You're sure?
Yes.
Because once I complete this call, there'll be no turning back.
You understand that, Victor?
You got to be sure you want to go through with. Hello? Is Louis there? Right, I'll hold on. You sure you want me to go ahead?
Yes.
Louis? This is John Folger. Yes, I know. I promised not to call you again. No, we're going through with it. We, want to add another name to the shareholders. 3,000, right? Where? All 3 of us? Oh. All right. Will do. We're to put the money in a book in the 42nd Street Library. Put the book back on the shelf at exactly 5 p.m., walk out, and stand for a few minutes chatting near the lions on the library steps. And then split.
Oh, they're kidding.
Oh, no. They're in earnest.
Deadly earnest. Why hang around on the steps?
I should imagine somebody wants to get a good look at us.
The killer?
Yes. It would be a shame to rub out the wrong guys.
A suicide pact. But quite unlike your ordinary run-of-the-mill agreement, the participants have relinquished any option of withdrawing. From now on, each one knows that his next move may well be his last. We'll see how they stand up under that unpleasant knowledge when we return with Act 2. Rather than face a financial scandal, the officers of a small but highly respected Wall Street firm have decided to commit suicide. Through a go-between, they have arranged for a paid executioner to do the job for them. An easy way out. We'll never know what hit us, they tell each other. But have they considered their remaining days and hours when even the most chance encounter will chill the blood and the question rise, is this the face of my killer? To see how they are facing up under the strain, let's listen to a telephone conversation.
Hello.
Kent, this is John. You heard what happened?
No.
Vic goofed off. Ran away. Remember we were giving May Hannigan a vacation? The cruise to the Caribbean? Well, at the last minute, he decides to go with her.
Well, I guess he wants to do some of the things he never took time for before.
Come off it. He's running away. He knows they won't dare shoot him aboard ship. They couldn't make a getaway. He's as safe on that boat as he would be in jail.
Well, what of it? They'll hit him when he gets off.
Well, I was hoping they'd tend to Vic first before they got you or me.
Did you tell Louis that?
I couldn't tell him anything. He made me promise never to contact him again. Louis not part of the mob or family or whatever they call it nowadays. They just use his place of business sometimes, meet there.
What kind of business is he in?
Look, I swore to keep him out of it. Now, what you don't know can't hurt Louis.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't worry too much about Vic.
Well, damn it all, I do worry. He hasn't got our motivation. Once you and I are out of the way, what's to keep him from getting the wind up and running to the police with the whole story?
I don't think he can do that. There's such a thing as accessory before the fact, you know. This may look like a suicide pact to us, but to the police it's going to be murder.
Oh. You mean he'd face a murder rap, huh?
Well, he might.
I just hope he knows that.
Look. Darn thing startles me every time I hear it.
We should be used to it by now. They blow it every day at noon. I've been looking all over the ship for you.
I was taking a turn around the deck.
Mr. Elliot, you're shaking.
No, I'm all right.
Look, I'm not absolutely sure, but I think I have something wonderful to tell you. Did you hear the news broadcast this morning?
No, indeed. I'm not wasting my last few days listening to... No, I didn't.
Well, you know those penny gold stocks you bought a few years ago, you and Mr. Green?
Penny gold? Oh, yes, the stock we bought from Harrison to help him out of a tight spot.
Mm-hmm.
It's worthless.
Well, that company, I think it's the same company, has just made the greatest gold strike since 1849.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Harrison's company?
I went straight to the radio room as soon as I heard it. The broadcaster taped, you know, and they were kind enough to run it again for me. I have the notes I took here in my purse. Oh, dear, it's awfully windy, isn't it?
We'll go inside.
The President Taft Mining Corporation? That's the one, isn't it?
I believe so. Yes. Here, let me get the door.
That's better. Relief to get out of that wind. Now, here's what I took down. The President Taft Mining Corporation has uncovered what seems to be the lost Fortuna vein. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. The Fortuna, yes, it does. Harrison mentioned the Fortuna vein.
This ledge of almost pure gold said to exist in Mono County, California.
Mono County, that's right.
Has been sought by miners for over 100 years.
The Fortuna vein, it must be Harrison's company. Well,
this changes everything, doesn't it?
Oh, it sure does.
You can pay off the debts of that crook and his disgraceful charisma funding company.
Well, if this report is accurate, we can.
You have a lot of Taft stock, and with the price of gold now...
Who'd ever have thought? Why, that part of California has been picked over so much, it seems impossible there'd be an ounce of gold left in the ground. We only bought it to help Harrison out.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. You deserve it.
Oh, Miss Hannigan, you're a jewel.
Oh, Mr. Ellis, my hair.
You don't mind my kissing you?
No. So happy.
What a day. Come on, down to the bar. We'll crack a bottle of champagne. Kent, I'm so glad you decided to telephone me here aboard ship instead of waiting till I got back. I've been trying to get you all afternoon. There was no answer at the office.
No, the office is closed.
Well, where are you, home?
No, I'm calling from outside, a payphone.
Well, great news, eh? It is Harrison's company, isn't it?
What?
The Taft Mining Corporation.
Oh, yes. Yes, Harrison's stock has gone way up, out of sight.
Well, that just about gets us off the hook, doesn't it?
Yes. Financially, it looks like things can be worked out.
Oh, great. Who'd ever have thought it? You got in touch with the bank and called Morgan and Benson, didn't you? Kid? Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Kent, John got in touch with that man, Louis, didn't he? Called it off? Kent?
Vic, that's why I phoned.
Is John all right?
No.
You mean he didn't get to Louis?
He never had the chance.
Oh, when? Where?
In front of his house. Just one shot, Vic. From a passing car. Just one shot.
Mr. Ellis, what on earth?
Not the greatest disguise in the world, but the best I could do. I bought the hippie clothes from a kid down in Tourist, and I had the ship's beauty parlor dye my hair. Goodbye, Miss Hannigan.
Wait. You seriously believe there's a gunman waiting for you when we dock?
That's the hell of it. I don't know where he is. Here, at the office, my apartment.
Well, don't rush off like this. You're not thinking clearly. There's only one sensible thing to do. Go to the police.
The police?
Tell them the whole story and ask for protection.
I can't do that.
It's the only way.
But I can't do that to John.
Mr. Folger's dead, Mr. Ellis.
His widow's alive and she's an invalid. If I go to the police, they'll cancel the insurance she'll get.
The firm can take care of Mrs. Folger.
We'll be lucky if we can pay our debts and save the firm. No, I got into this mess and I've got to see it through. I'm going to make a break and run for it.
I'll be the first one off the ship and run to a taxi.
Please, listen to me. Don't rush down the gangplank alone. Let some of the other passengers start first. Then saunter off casually. Oh, dear. Take my arm. I'm coming with you.
No, absolutely not. I'm a living target. Stay out of range, Miss Hannigan. Your life depends on it. Goodbye.
Where do you plan to go?
Some hotel, I guess, till I can figure a way to get out of town safely.
Here. Look, take my keys. Go to my apartment.
No, I'm not going to drag you into this.
It's the safest place for you. Nobody will dream of looking for you there. And I can reach you by phone. I'll go straight to the office. That way, you'll know what's going on.
Well, all right. But only for a few hours.
We've got to talk to this Louis person.
I hope Kent's still alive. If not, you have the power of attorney I executed for you in Puerto Rico. Take complete charge until you hear from one of us again. If you ever do. Goodbye, Miss Hannigan.
Hello?
Oh, good. You made it to the apartment all right.
Yes. I haven't dared open a window or raise a blind. Everything all right at the office?
I don't know. I guess so. I have an uneasy feeling that I'm being watched as I sit here.
You're all alone?
Yes. It's Saturday, you know. I'm just getting jittery, I guess. It's hard to keep my imagination from running riot. There is one strange thing, though.
What's that?
One of the walls in your office is half painted. You didn't authorize the paint job, did you?
Well, of course not. We're dissolving the firm. Building manager must have made a mistake.
No, he says not. His painters didn't do it. Oh, by the way, I think I know who that man Louis is. Oh. The one who set up the deal.
Well, how'd you find that out?
The filing cabinet in Mr. Folger's office. There's a promissory note made to Mr. Folger by a Louis Vongoli. He owns a small bar on the east side.
Well, makes sense. John said he used to drop in at Louis' place. The bar, eh?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to drop in on Louis myself and put an end to this awful business. But if I fail, we better get you out of town in a hurry. You can go to my grandfather's house in the country.
Now, I'm not going to drag you any further into this. And I certainly don't want to bring your grandfather into...
my house now. I inherited it. You've got to go, Mr. Ellis, because I called Kent Green's home.
Yes? Well, for heaven's sake, May, tell me what happened.
He's been missing since the day John Folger died.
What'll it be, miss? Some nice fresh oysters? Just come in this morning.
I'd like to see the owner, please. I want to talk to Louis.
You're talking to him?
Well, it's a confidential matter.
This is the lunch hour, lady. I'm busy. Come back, say, 3:30, 4 o'clock.
No. I've got to talk to you now. It's about John Folger.
Never heard of him.
Here's something to refresh your memory. This is your signature, isn't it?
What?
Your signature on this promissory note. You know who Mr. Folger was, and you know what happened to him.
Hey, Joe, take over, will you? Come on, lady. Over to this table in the corner. Now, sit down. What's this all about?
This is your signature, isn't it?
I ain't sure.
Oh, come on. Louis, you borrowed $12,000 from Mr. Folger on July 8th, 1948.
What are you, a cop?
I'm Mr. Folger's secretary, and Mr. Green's, and Mr. Ellis's. We want to call the